It's time for Intelligent Machines. Jeff Jarvis is here. Paris is still on vacation, but good news, Richard Campbell joins us as we interview Keach Hagey, the author of a brand new biography of Sam Altman. And just a little tip, next week, Cory Doctorow. We've got some great guests coming up next on Intelligent Machines.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Intelligent Machines, episode 813, recorded April 2nd, 2025. The Optimist. It's time for Intelligent Machines, the show where we cover the latest in AI, robotics, and those little devices, those doohickeys scattered all around your house that are watching you. They're watching you and listening. Just want you to know. Jeff Jarvis is here, Emeritus Professor of Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. How long do we have to do that? Is that
forever.
Contractual?
Because emeritus is forever. It's Latin for old. As long as I'm old and here, that's it.
Currently at Montclair State University, and SUNY Stony Brook, author of The Gutenberg Parenthesis, The Web We Weave is the latest. So nice to see you, Jeff. I just had not cacio e pepe, but a little homemade carbonara. So
second best.
Yeah, it's the next best thing.
Yeah.
Now, Paris is still in Europe, probably eating carbonara herself. So we thought, well, who could we get to replace Paris Martineau for one more week? She'll be back next week. And lo and behold, we've got Richard Campbell, who happened to be around. He was in town for Windows Weekly, and he's just sticking around. He is the host of Run His Radio, an expert on technology, but also on AI. We talk a lot about AI on the show, and he is very much...
And happy to do a double header.
Double header. We're calling him Old Leather Butt because he's got to sit there for 6 hours. Don't want to tell you what they call me. Great to have you too, Richard, and we will get to the AI news in a bit, but as we've been doing on this show, we changed the format a little bit. We've been bringing in a guest every week to talk about all things AI, and I am thrilled to get this guest. Keach Hagey is a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. It's good to see you, Keach.
Good to see you.
She has written a book which comes out not till May 20th called The Optimist.
But pre-order it now, everybody. Pre-order it now.
But yeah, we'll want to, because it's Sam Altman, OpenAI, and the race to invent the future. The first full-length biography of Sam Altman. Keach, welcome to Intelligent Machines. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
You say in the introduction, because Sam, I don't know, Sam at first was reluctant to have a book about him.
Yeah.
I think he kind of helped you towards eventually, right? He wasn't. It's not an unauthorized biography, but you said, I don't care if you don't help me because my last book was about Sumner Redstone, a guy who was basically in a coma the whole time. So, is there any comparison between Sumner Redstone and Sam Altman? Or they seem like antithetical creatures?
Well, actually, there are. I've thought about this a little bit, because everyone always asks me, like, what does Sam really want? Does he really want money? Is he motivated by money? And the thing about Sumner Redstone is he's motivated by money, but he's motivated by winning. Winning, right? The conquest. And I don't think Sam is quite motivated by winning in the same way, but he is motivated by building. So I think that they're similar in that way.
You say in the beginning that Sam doesn't need money. That one of the reasons Sam could take this job and tell the board, I'm not going to have any stake, any equity, which was a condition of him being on the board of the nonprofit. But he could do that because he was already a billionaire.
Yeah. So what Sam really is an investor. He is a brilliant investor, and he made a ton of money being head of Y Combinator and then personally investing in all kinds of moonshot startups, sort of on the side through his own venture funds, which he continues to do, although much less than he used to. So he made his money before he really ever became CEO of OpenAI.
And Jeff and Richard, please don't let me hog Keach on this, because I know you all have things to ask. But the thing that brought our attention to you, Keach, was the excerpt published last week in the Wall Street Journal from your book, The Optimist, which tells the behind-the-scenes story. Jeff asked me last week, we had Gary Rivlin on, who has a book called AI Valley about AI and talks a lot about Sam Altman. And Jeff said, now, did he reveal what happened behind the scenes when Altman was fired? And I said, not really. Well, guess who did? Great reporting on this.
Really, Leo sent me the excerpt from the journal when on the weekend when I was out shopping, and I immediately went back. Can we get Keach on now, please?
Yeah. Because nobody really knew this. The whole thing. All we knew is the board was so careful about this. They said, "Well, we just don't have confidence in his candor. We don't feel like he's been fully candid with us." But they never. Later, they kind of intimated stuff. But this was actually a lot more than I thought. He really did lie to the board a lot.
The combination of things, right? There's I think there are long reasons and there are short reasons why he got fired, why the board decided to fire him. The long reasons are there was a power struggle. And let's put the lying aside for a second. There was a year-long power struggle about who should be on the board. And even though Sam didn't have equity in OpenAI, he had real power, right? He had the de facto power. And so this nonprofit board was realizing that every person they put forward, Sam would reject, and then he would counter with one of his friends, which they felt was, not the kind of thing that allowed them to actually have oversight over him.
The board was really there because it was a nonprofit to protect that mission, right? To protect it from Sam.
Right, and it had this very sort of pie in the sky mission that our duty is not to shareholders, it is to humanity. Now, it's pretty hard to interpret that mission, I would say, but leaving that aside. So there's a power struggle, and then there's a series of things that the board felt that Sam had either omitted things or lied to them about that had to do with safety. A number of safety breaches. There was this deployment safety board that OpenAI and Microsoft put together to sort of review things before they went out, because there was a lot of fear about what these tools could do, right? I mean, that fear is what OpenAI was born out of. And there were several occasions where something bad would happen and Sam wouldn't mention it to the board, or he would tell the board that things had passed it when they had not. So there's that. And then the short reasons, I would say one more big long reason is that there was this OpenAI startup fund that the board believed was like OpenAI's, but in fact they learned that Sam himself owned it personally. And it took them months to actually get that answer out of the executives and Sam. And, they changed the structure once that became public, but they really felt like, whoa, you went before Congress and said you had no financial stake here, and yet you own this little startup fund personally. That's challenging for us.
Yeah.
And so then the short reasons had to do with two executives that came forward not long before he got fired with sort of receipts on what they felt made them lose trust in Sam. And one of them was a board member, Ilya Sutskever, the chief scientist and co-founder, and one of them was the CTO, Mira Murati, who both...
Which is interesting, because she was the replacement for Sam when he was fired as CEO.
And then also defended him.
And defended him, yeah.
Yes.
Weird
so
dynamics
weird, right?
there. Yeah.
So weird. So what was really wild, and one of the things that sort of revealed in that excerpt, is that the journal had reported before that Ilya Sutskever had come forward with a list of dozens of reasons or instances where Sam had either lied or had some toxic behavior, but we never really knew where they came from. But in this excerpt, I report that they mostly came from screenshots of Mira Murati's Slack. So.
Where did he get those? Mira, obviously, right?
Yeah, and Mira talked to the board members who ended up firing Sam at length about a pattern of behavior that she said Sam basically had a two-part playbook. He would either say what he needed to say to get what he wanted, or if that didn't work, he would try to undermine the person. And Mira says that she has given that feedback to Sam directly. So in her mind, it wasn't like some huge revelation. But the board...
She didn't stab him in the back. She stabbed him in the front.
Exactly. There you go. That's what my old journalism mentor used to say. Stab him in the front.
So Mira is a technologist. Ilya is a technologist. They're all high-level technologists. Sam is not, right? So what was their pecking order in their views to him?
So, I mean, Sam did study computer science, in college, but you're right that as I write in the book, he's really a fundraiser and a sort of a visionary, right? He is not down there in the weeds running tests of training runs for LLMs at all. So Ilya Sutskever, he is the sort of technical visionary of the company. He's the one thinking about what kind of training runs there should be. And then Mira's running the company day to day, deciding who gets the GPUs. She's totally managing this Microsoft relationship that is the backbone of the company and where all of their computing power comes from. And Mira is the one kind of, because she's making the trains run on time and all of that, she is experiencing the chaos when Sam tells two people yes, and that has to somehow be reconciled, right? Or one of her big complaints was about the relationship with Greg Brockman, another OpenAI co-founder, who was on the board and was a really close ally of Sam's, but didn't really have direct reports and would sort of crash into people's projects sometimes. And people would come to Mira and ask her, please get Greg out of my project, or please solve this problem. And then, Greg would go to Sam to make it so that Mira couldn't really exert any power over him. So that became an untenable situation, and it's why Greg Brockman was removed from the board with Sam Altman when the blip happened.
The other big question I have, and I'll show my cards here, I'm not a believer that AGI is going to happen. I follow the writing about TESCREAL and the odd philosophies a lot. And so the definition of safety to me has been mangled, so that when you're talking to somebody, you don't know if it's stochastic parrots present tense safety or if it's TESCREAL 2 centuries ahead safety. So when people talked about safety and OpenAI and that being a key issue that was raised, was the discussion way up in the future clouds, or was it down to earth in terms of what was the definition that people were working with when they were worried about safety in OpenAI and thus Sam?
So that is such a great question. And I also struggle to sort of pin that very thing down because I find it very slippery when you have these conversations, right? You're right. I remember one of the very first interviews I had with Sam, I asked him this question directly. What does AI safety mean to you? And he said it would be, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically it's a world in which things would be better if AI existed than if they hadn't.
Present tense.
Meaning that like the net, sort of like the net of everything is more positive than it is negative. Which I found that a very startling answer. At the time, this is when everyone was really freaked out about existential risk, and something that, Sam was talking a lot about existential risk. But that definition seems more like an economic place that we're landing.
It's also a bit of a Zuckerberg answer in a way. Like,
yeah.
We're connecting the world and it's all better because of us.
The net is the interesting thing.
Yeah.
There might be some hardships along the way, but in the long run, you actually begin the book with a warning from Peter Thiel to Sam Altman, and this was just a few weeks before Sam was fired. Thiel said, "You got half of your company is worried about AI." He specifically referred to Eliezer Yudkowsky, who Thiel said became extremely black-pilled and Luddite, and Sam just kind of brushed off Thiel's warning. Thiel said half the company's been taken over by the effective altruists. By the way, there's so much inside baseball here. If you've listened to the show, Jeff's explained this, what TESCREAL means, why effective altruists aren't really altruistic, and a lot more. So there's a lot of shorthand in this. But the EAs, which sounds on the face of it, and the same Bankman-Fried was also an EA, sounds on the face of it like, well, what's wrong with that? They want to end global poverty, right?
But as you said, Keach, they changed their views.
Right.
Their goals.
That's right.
What was their new goal?
To prevent existential risk from AI. And
you write, prevent runaway AI from murdering humanity.
Yeah, this is fascinating calculus, right, in that movement where all of a sudden it's the morally correct thing to do is to think about future humans, not present humans, because there will be so many more future humans. Like, so if you're a utilitarian, the math is such that, I guess, assuming we don't totally destroy the birth rate, there will be more humans in the future, right? So that became a completely different moral universe than I think most of us are used to operating with inside.
Well, it also raises questions about, what about current day humans, right?
Right.
Are you not worried about us?
Right. So to answer your question, though, going back to like which version of safety people were worried about, in the board fight, I do think while EA itself was not a driving force, there's this moment when the board got an early peek at GPT-4 before they'd even released ChatGPT. And they got to watch it like pass the AP Bio test. And I think that was a sobering moment for these people who were like, oh, our jobs are actually really important. Right. This AGI thing might really be sooner than we think, and our jobs are really important, and the board needs to be functioning well. And so that sort of sense of import, of the imminence of AGI and the potential dangers of it, I do think colored how they behaved, because they did not feel like it was okay to have a situation where they felt lied to.
Stephen Wolfram was saying that a couple of weeks ago, that even OpenAI really didn't kind of believe what was going to happen until they saw ChatGPT 4, and then it was
because this is what OpenAI was formed for, right? They were afraid of what Google Brain was doing and tried to convince all those scientists to go into the open, including Sescovar.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. That's the great irony of it all, right? Is that OpenAI was born from this fear. It was partly a fear of. I think it was less a fear of AI risk. It was ultimately there than a fear of the concentration of power of Google being the one.
Google having brought all the best minds together. So let's go get the best minds for ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Altman responded to Thiel.
When you hook up profits to this technology, that would be like fundamentally problematic, right?
Boy, we changed that view.
And of course, that's what happened. And that's one of the reasons the board ousted him, I think, was this move towards making OpenAI for profit, or at least part of OpenAI for profit.
I actually don't think that is totally true. I mean, they'd already started the for-profit like subsidiary of nonprofit, so that had already been sort of cleared. But broadly, were they behaving more and more like a Silicon Valley startup that just needed to ship quickly, keep the momentum, do all the things you have to do, right, to stay alive in a commercial world? Sure. And did that run up against?
If I'm wrong, but weren't they staffed with Silicon Valley startup people?
Yeah, what a surprise.
Well, there's an interesting thing about the tribes inside. Sometimes Sam would describe there being 3 tribes inside OpenAI, and they were really different tribes, right? So there was the sort of academic, the researcher tribe, there's the AI safety tribe, and then there's the policy tribe, and I would say there's also like the startup tribe, and they are often different people, and there a lot of the AI safety people really were like people who are close to or involved in effective altruism, or at least the broader AI safety community. There were just like that company was full of these people, and a lot of them were freaking out about corners that were cut in safety.
And a lot of them left and went to form Anthropic, right? That was the whole exodus there.
Some of them did, but I guess what I'm talking about is even right before the blip, a bunch of them sort of, after Sam was reinstituted, you saw like departure after departure of people.
Including Mira Murati.
Including Mira, right? But Jan Lakey, who was running the super alignment team with Ilya Sutskever, Ilya left, right? All these people.
Is Brockman still around, or is he on extended leave?
He is around. He is back from leave.
Okay.
And when you say left, did they depart or were they pushed out?
I mean, there were a lot of resignations. So they're all resignations, but I think that the company became an unwelcoming place for people for whom this was the top priority.
So, of course, most notable departure was Elon Musk, who co-founded OpenAI and split with Sam. He was very much on the side of the oh my God, AI is going to kill us all. He called it summoning the demon. Weirdly, he's of course started his own AI venture, which is worth now $80 billion thanks to its merger with X. We'll get to that a little later on. He and Sam don't talk, right?
At this stage, I don't.
He's suing them. He's suing.
No, they are sort of mortal enemies at this point. They started out as really good friends, and they started out having these sort of private dinners together, discussing these apocalyptic ideas, some of which were about AI. But the company was really born out of this panic and fear about existential risk.
Right. You said something in the book that really kind of interested me. Elon has said many times he thinks we're in a simulation. Sam believes that too.
Yeah. I mean, Peter Thiel, if you ask Sam about it, he'll say that's freshman dorm room talk, but
Well, it is.
Totally. And the person who says he believes it is Peter Thiel, actually, who's had this conversation with him, because, Peter Thiel loves to sort of think of these wild ideas.
Right.
But I think what Sam would say is, if you do the logic experiment about is this a simulation or not, you kind of come to the conclusion that it very likely might be or probably is. But he would say you have to live your life as if it's not.
Yeah, well, he's right.
Geez, how Calvinist can you get?
Well, but it also says that superintelligence has been created. I mean, that's part of that is, it's happened already. And that's why we're living in a simulation.
So
right?
Speaking of which, as you very wisely asked Sam going in for the definition of safety, have you had a satisfactory definition of AGI or ASI?
It moves.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The definition, as my understanding is, it can do most tasks better than a human. Some of the best definitions make sure that it is a general intelligence, right? That it's not just about tasks, but that it can range over all types of tasks. So there's a better than a human piece of it, or as well as a human, but. No, I would say the company is increasingly open about the fact that nobody really knows what it is, and it's barely definable.
Yeah.
So we can declare its existence when we feel like it?
I'll know it when I see it, Richard.
Yeah.
So it's
kind
pornography.
of, right? Kind of, and of course it's very tricky because Microsoft has this deal with OpenAI where if OpenAI declares AGI, then Microsoft no longer has access to that IP after that point.
Yeah, that's the financial definition.
There's an interesting incentive for you that has nothing to do with a technical measure.
Speaking of Microsoft, tell us about Microsoft's reaction to Sam Altman's firing.
So again, there's a short and a long one, right?
I want the deets.
We want
Spill the
tea.
Okay, so in the short term, I would say, I think it was very public that Microsoft ran to be publicly supportive of Sam Altman after he was fired, right? There's kind of a funny thing in the book where the board didn't even have immediate plans to tell Microsoft. I think they ultimately would, but when they had this sort of plan, Amira Murati looked at their plan the next day, who they were going to tell. She's like, "Why is tell Microsoft not on here?"
Yeah, kind of big deal.
So eventually, Mira was the one who had to call before even Sam was alerted and say, "This is happening." They had to go pull Kevin Scott out of a meeting and had to tell Satya Nadella that this was going down. So in the short term, Microsoft is super supportive, and they offered OpenAI employees jobs, right? OpenAI basically got Sam back by having almost every employee threaten to quit, and what allowed them to do that is that Microsoft had said we'll hire all OpenAI employees.
Oh, so that created an outward pressure. Well, I hadn't thought of that before. By Microsoft doing that, Microsoft proved to the board that you could kill the company here.
We went through this on Windows Weekly in pretty good detail because it was the end of the build conference too. So, Nadella had just come off sort of his triumphant week of talking about how everything was going so well. It was on the Thursday he finds out that Sam's gone. And over the weekend, there is much noise. And I think it was by Monday, they basically said, open invitation, every employee can apply to work at Microsoft. We're happy to hire you.
And in fact, 770 employees signed a petition saying, if you don't rehire Sam Altman, we're going to Microsoft.
Yeah. Microsoft had office space at the LinkedIn offices and laptops for them and everything. Yeah, they were ready.
Wow.
I think that's a bit of a stunt, but they swear that was true.
Well, it was surprising to me because I didn't get the impression leading up to that point that there was this, universal support for Sam Altman in the company, in OpenAI.
Well, there was universal support for the tender offer that he was organizing.
Oh, it was a profit deal.
Yeah. So the key thing of all of this, right, is that the company was raising from investors at that time in a huge tender offer that was valued the company at nearly $90 billion, up from $30 billion, not that long before. And if, you got in early, your strike price could be the $30 billion, and then you'd make a ton of money. So, the employees were looking at millions of dollars each. And all of them believed that this would not happen if Sam was ousted. Because, Sam was the one who has the relationships with the investors. This is what he does. He is a brilliant fundraiser. So it wasn't really hard for them to decide to sign that petition because they figured our equity is worthless if Sam leaves.
Mm-hmm. Well, you really do a good job of showing the interlocking pieces of this puzzle.
Thank you.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. So what was Satya Nadella's reaction when they finally did tell him, oh yeah, we fired Sam?
Yeah, he was obviously completely shocked. And, he and Sam spoke, and, Sam at that point was completely shocked himself and didn't really understand even how or why this had happened. And Satya threw his weight behind Sam, supported him, stood by him, and is a big part of the reason why the blip was so short.
Yeah.
That said, the blip really shook Microsoft, as you would expect, right? This is our biggest partner, our most important partner, surely, and this is not something we can really count on. And so you saw, not that long after, they went and built a lifeboat in the form of hiring Mustafa Suleyman and buying Inflection AI, which is a rival of OpenAI, and trying to build out their own AI capacity.
I'd be curious to hear you and Richard compare notes on where you think Microsoft stands now in having seemed to have been over-dependent upon OpenAI, and how is the relationship now?
Well, it is tense. It is tense, and it is evolving. There were tough negotiations. We've already reported at the Journal that there were tough negotiations in December as they were negotiating that carve-out for Oracle to allow Stargate to happen. Mm-hmm. And if you just step back, I think we can all see that their incentives are not as converged as they once were. So OpenAI has become a consumer product company, which I didn't see that coming. I'm not sure anyone did. At the beginning of this, it seemed like it was going to be an enterprise product that Microsoft was going to sell, right? So they are out in the marketplace with a very successful consumer product, and in many cases, they are competing directly with Microsoft. I don't think Microsoft, and there's all this tussling over GPUs. If you look at
while running on Microsoft hardware in Azure data centers.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen Sam's X feed lately, but he's basically just openly begging for more GPUs.
Yeah,
at this point.
The thing that led to Stargate was they had this deal with Microsoft that they were going to go through Azure and everything, and Azure's running out of capacity because they were demanding so much for the next experiment. So they finally had a point where it's like, hey, why don't you want to experiment somewhere else? Because we're selling Azure for other things too. And that really opened the door for Stargate, which was already in progress. Oracle.
That's the $500 billion deal with Oracle. Sam Sunsan, Masayoshi Son of SoftBank. That's the president announced early in his. I guess he's still early in his tenure. Wow.
First full day of his tenure. Didn't waste any time.
Oh my God.
But it would go back to Satya Nadella being shocked. This guy, again, had just finished saying, we're betting the whole company on AI with our relationship with OpenAI that week. And he didn't know the board was going to fire him. Then the observer seat appears and so forth. He's got to face his own board. Satya saying, how did you not know this?
Yeah. But must also irk him that OpenAI has done so well with the consumer-facing products. The fastest selling 100 million subscribers in 1 month. Nothing has ever done that. 2 months. Okay. Nothing's ever done that before. And now just this week with the new image generation, you're seeing another doubling or even more of subscribers. The public vision of AI is OpenAI. That's what the public really is aware of, and it isn't a business product. So that must irk Nadella a little bit as well.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
And that tension is getting more awkward by the day, especially because there's this GPU struggle underneath it all.
Where does
what does
OpenAI stand now? Because they've just made some big executive moves. I think Sam has kind of stepped back a little bit, hasn't he?
Well, in general, they revamped the board, brought a lot more experienced corporate folk.
They fired the board. They started over because that's the board that fired him, right?
Yeah.
Although Sutskever was around for quite. Is he still around? He was around for quite a while.
No, he has started his own company. But he hung
Everybody
around
has
for
kind of spun
years.
off. Yeah.
But look, big picture, what's happening is OpenAI is trying to turn into a more normal company. It was a very weird company, and now it's just trying to become more conventional. They're in the midst of this attempt to convert to a for-profit, or something closer to a more traditional for-profit, and that's going to require Microsoft's agreement. Right?
So talk about that. The negotiation for that cap table.
Yeah.
I mean, everything relies on everything is up in the air now, right? It's all a new bet.
Totally.
So the dynamics are everybody is jockeying for their piece of that pie, right?
That's absolutely true, and that is happening right now. And so you have the tension we've been talking about between the sort of diverging strategies of these two companies and needs, incentives of these two companies. You have the deep seek of it all, right? Which is suggesting that maybe this model of money equals success isn't quite true, right? The model that OpenAI was built on, which is like whoever raises the most money, whoever gets the most GPUs wins. And DeepSeek really called that into question.
Yep.
And then, the whole geopolitical swirl of it all adds a lot of intrigue. Like if really we're going to be building out this infrastructure in the US with building a bunch of data centers, I mean, it's not entirely clear how possible that is, but all of that is pressing in on this negotiation.
How much time did you spend talking to Sam? Were you able to interview him multiple times? Or?
Oh yeah, multiple times and multiple coasts. I would say many hours.
Has he read the book?
He swore to me that he would never read the book because he did not even
It's good. I kind of admire Sam's really interesting because he's, at least the picture you paint of him is this kind of self-deprecating guy. Like, yeah, I was in an ashram. I did the tech bro thing, and he's got a set. And he says, I don't want you to write a book about me. That's I'm not the center of the story. And yet, at the other side of it is he's kind of cutthroat business guy. He really he does want to win.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but he's also like pretty good at controlling a narrative.
He's
right?
very good at it. He's exceptional at it.
Right.
Well, it seems like he makes multiple narratives too. Like there's something he shows to the public, there's another thing he shows to his executive, and then this whole AGI thing seems to be a chant for recruitment more than anything else.
I think that's right. It was fascinating to interview people, in the sort of run up to the company or the early years of the company with this like litmus test of do you believe in AGI was sort of one of the first questions, right, in any interview.
And if
not
you didn't,
all of them did.
Forget it.
Well, not all of them did, but obviously they're going to like go for the people who believed in it. But I talked to some folks who like honestly like had amazing resumes, didn't quite believe, but if you're hanging out with all these people who do, within a few months, they make you a believer.
You get the religion.
So I suspect the interview had to do with, do you believe? Can we persuade you?
And how much will it take? How many options?
How much indoctrination is necessary?
What's your strike price? Yeah. So tell us what your sense of Sam is at base. I mean, what kind of person is he really?
I think Sam is, I think Sam's true superpower is as a fundraiser. And he was the man for the moment because this particular technology needed an ungodly amount of money. And there are very few people outside of Microsoft and Google, right, or these gigantic tech companies that could do this. So the fact that he's able to like be so nimble out in the broader VC world, yet amass the amounts of money that one might normally find inside a very large company is really unique to him. And I think he's basically just a fantastic salesman.
Yeah. He's even
no wonder
reading the book.
Musk
He
are
seems
annoyed with each other then, right? Like they're kind of the same species.
Him and Musk. Yes. I do think they are the same
Oh,
species
interesting.
In a lot of ways. They are emotionally quite different, right? I mean, we saw the emails from the lawsuit where, Elon would toss off, like 2 minutes after someone emails him, he would toss off these angry emails like, we have no hope of beating Google. We should all just like go jump off a bridge now. And Sam is a cool customer most of the time. He does get angry. It's not like he never gets angry, but he's more self-controlled.
Among all the people that you come across now covering AI, how do I ask this? If you found yourself in a Mexican resort, happening to be with one of them,
over a margarita?
Yeah, over margaritas and a dinner, right? Whatever, right? Who would be, not for purposes of interviewing, but for just purposes of hanging out, who would be the most engaging or interesting to you?
I mean, the thing about Sam is he is so much fun to talk to. He just has a fascinating mind. And that's why I wanted to do the book, really, because, it's a kind of an unvarnished portrait, but he's just interesting. That's what he does in these meetings, right? He knows, he has this amazing ability to like know a lot about a million little things. So he will find something that he has in common with you, with anyone. He's done this like since he was in high school, just random technological details of things. And he will form these relationships with people based on their like shared loves that like never really go away. So, he's really fun to talk to.
That's kind of about what I was about to say. Is the impression I got is it's actually of a fairly likable, certainly charismatic person that you would want to kind of spend some time with, even knowing all of the stuff behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
He comes across quite likable. Yeah.
He is likable. I mean, I don't think anyone would say that he's not actually. Like, I mean, a few people, right? But
Elon might not like him that much. Yeah.
Who's the geekiest?
Oh goodness,
that's a hard tournament.
That is a hard tournament. Probably Greg Brockman.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, I was fascinated that I would research everyone's background, and almost every major character in this book was a math Olympiad or mathlete of some.
Were they also in the AV club?
Which I know kind of seems like a joke. It is sort of like a joke, right? Like, of course, they're all like brilliant nerds.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yes. But I think it takes something like a special kind of person to want to do that, right? Yeah. And all of them did it.
Yeah, there's being interested in math, and there's wearing the jersey.
And competitive. Yeah, wearing the jersey. I like it. They were wearing the jersey. But, I mentioned this last week. It seems like there are two types of people who get into this. They're philosophy majors, and then there's the math majors. And they need each other to make this happen. It's I find this a fascinating beat. And this is a must-read book. This is, I wish it were out tomorrow, because I know that people listening would love to read
Pre-order,
it
folks.
now.
Pre-order it.
Get yours now. I got my order in.
Keach Hagey, Hagey. The book is called The Optimist. Sam Altman, OpenAI, and the Race to Invent the Future, Norton Books. Not till May 20th. But you can read the excerpt last week in the Wall Street Journal, and which I highly recommend. Keach, I thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry that the Journal put you in the witness protection program booth, but
it is what it is.
We were thrilled to be able to talk to you, and this was fairly short notice because we read the article and we said, got to get her on. And you've lived up to our hopes. It's a fascinating book.
Thank you so much.
Subject. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
It's so glad you're here, Richard. Thank you for taking the time. And I bet you're glad now, because that was
and now that I've heard that Jeff is in the same space I am with AGI, I think this is going to be a real fun conversation.
Damn it.
No.
I got to invite more accelerationists, son. Damn.
Some of us actually look at reality and try and perceive it rather than,
acceleration is one thing, fiction another.
I was in that camp, but the more I use this stuff, the more I'm going, I don't know. I understand this is just, tokens and probability, but something's going on here.
Did you see Gary Marcus's April Fool's joke?
No, what did he say?
The punchline. I just got back from a trip, and amazingly, I got invited to see GPT-5. And I got to say, it did absolutely everything I wanted. I think AGI is actually here.
Gary. All right, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we have the AI news. There's a lot, including a lot of AI, OpenAI news. They've reorganized a little bit. But before we get to that, let me tell you about our fine sponsor. Actually, somebody new to our network. We're glad to welcome our friends at OutSystems. And they are in the right spot because they are the leading AI-powered application and agent development platform. They're not new to this game. They've been doing it for more than 20 years. The mission of OutSystems has been to give every company the power to innovate through software. I know Richard knows this well. There is always that build versus buy decision in business, right? IT teams, you got the two choices. You could buy off-the-shelf SaaS products. They'll get you up and running fast, but you lose differentiation with the competition. You lose flexibility. Maybe it doesn't just do exactly what you need. Or you can build custom software, but that's going to cost time. It's going to cost money. Well, now, thanks to AI, there is another path. The fusion of AI, low-code, and DevSecOps automation onto a single development platform. This is actually a relief. I mean, we ourselves have gone through the build versus buy conundrum, and there hasn't been until now a good answer. With OutSystems, your team will build a custom application. You'll use AI agents. It'll be as easy as buying that generic off-the-shelf sameware, but it will be flexible. It will be secure. It will be scalable, and it all comes standard. With AI-powered low-code, teams can build custom future-proof applications at the speed of buying, with fully automated architecture, security integrations, data flows, and permissions. Now, I know it sounds maybe too good to be true, but OutSystems has been doing this for 20 years. OutSystems is the last platform you will buy because you can use it to build anything and customize and extend your core systems. Build your future with OutSystems. Visit outsystems.com/twit to learn more. OUTSYSTEMS, outsystems.com/twit. We thank them so much for supporting Intelligent Machines. We thank you for supporting the show by using that address so they know you saw it here. outsystems.com/twit.
Great. That was just great. Thank you for.
She lived up to the excerpt we read.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
what a
staff,
great.
You made the staff work over the weekend to go get her. And thank you guys for.
Anthony Nielsen, good get, as they say in the biz. Really great. Yeah, we're glad we could get her on. Maybe we'll have her back when the book comes out in May. Yeah.
Because the reaction to it, and B, it's the author's problem. I don't know when she locked up the last corrections. But with this company, it's got to be tearing your hair out because everything's going to happen.
Crazy to write an AI book, period. Because every week something different happens. This is the
from
excerpt.
The right perspective, you can do it. But I think an AI news book,
This is the excerpt you can read now anyway from the Wall Street Journal, March 28th. Very good. The secrets and misdirection behind Sam Altman's firing from OpenAI, and this is the first time I'd read a lot of the details in this.
Because last week when we had Gary Rivlin on, as Leo said earlier, I did say, what's
the juice?
What's the juice? What's the juice? And so then that's when Leo, when he saw the journal excerpt, said, "Up here it is."
To you right away.
Yeah.
And it took a real reporter really to dig and get that.
It was so ridiculously vague. We have no confidence in his candor. Like, come up with at least a better lie.
There was good reason for them having no confidence in his candor.
Yeah.
He was lying to him outright. He didn't even tell them ahead of time before he announced ChatGPT 4. I mean, there were all sorts of. If I were on that board, I would have been just as upset and just as.
All the more reason the board should have been more direct on why he was let go.
Yeah.
Well,
but then they were stuck in this vice where they could have killed it all. I mean, Richard, I'd love to hear a little more about Satya, because he got really blindsided is the least.
Hugely blindsided. And you understand, like, AI is the thing he's going to be known for at Microsoft. Everything else had come before. He was in a cloud, was already a thing, all these other things. Here's this new thing. It gets to be his thing. And he'd literally just come off stage as saying, Microsoft is all in an AI. This is what this is about. Like the timing couldn't have been worse. And for us, come on the outside looking in, like this is when we first saw what we started to call Dark Satya. Like he's the yoga guy, he's super chill, right? We're making one Microsoft. Everybody needs to get along and work together. Then the other guy showed up.
So it's in him.
And I think part of it was he was so humiliated.
Yeah.
Well, and also like what an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Well, he got his way in the long run, although
it was the sort of workaround.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like the relationship is tattered now. It's not what it was, right? But they both need each other somewhat.
But
although
Microsoft
has its own models, they have two very strong models.
Yeah.
Copilot is
I think
based
part of it is realizing, hey, now that once we've built in this direct, first off, is Microsoft is an aggregator. So every model that exists now is available through AI Studio.
Right.
You can get Mistral, even DeepSeek is there, right?
Right.
So they're always Microsoft hedges their bets and they're building their own. But also, I think they cut a bad deal in the first place with OpenAI because their goal was, hey, we're going to lend you money and you're going to give it back to us in the form of consuming Azure. Like, that's awesome, except that they started consuming more Azure than is possible. And suddenly you're in a trap where it's like, you told us you'd run all our stuff for us. Well, we keep making stuff.
So the other part of this is the cap table part. I'm just fascinated by because the rules of the game are completely changed. And how do you negotiate who gets what now?
Well, now SoftBank is in the mix, right?
Right.
SoftBank in this newest raise, which was this week, OpenAI is finalizing a $40 billion funding round. It would be one of the largest startup financings of all time. And SoftBank is expected to contribute $30 billion. That's in addition to $30 billion they're giving Stargate.
And don't forget that that's $30 billion only if it is converted to for profit. Otherwise, it's minus $10 billion.
It's funny because when SoftBank said we're going to put $30 billion into Stargate, Elon said, "I know they don't have the money." He tweeted, they don't have the money." Elon is really throwing grenades in all of this because it's a competitive thing at this point for him.
It's ego, yeah.
Yeah. So the OpenAI funding, according to the Journal, is divided across two tranches. The company will initially receive $10 billion. It can receive another $30 billion by the end of this year if it completes the for-profit change.
Right.
And if the restructuring doesn't take place by the end of the year, it's just 10 instead of 30. So
I thought it was, geez, wow, yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to get 10 now, and it'll get either another 10 or another 30.
Well, plus where are the court? I mean, Elon is suing to prevent the conversion.
That's right.
And he could drag this out through the end of the year and then bye-bye $30 billion.
He's tried to tank it already. That was that kind of kooky offer he made.
Well, he's hanging out with a guy who knows how to delay things in courts.
Yeah.
Who's that, Peter Thiel? Oh, the other guy, the redhead.
The other guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the other guy. He who shall not be named.
Oh, that's interesting. By the way, so Trump said today, supposedly he told the cabinet, don't worry, I'm not getting political.
I just said he who shall not be named. Okay.
He told the cabinet that, Elon's going to be gone in a few months, which of course
that was interesting, yeah.
But then the FT just has a headline, Musk says no, he's not leaving.
Yeah, well, this will be interesting to watch. Remember,
trying to kick me out.
As a consulting employee, not an official employee of the government, he has 130 days in that job. That ends end of May, not coincidentally. We had a pool back before, I think it was right after the election, and I had picked June 1st as the day that the divorce would happen. Some had picked sooner, but I'm going to stand by my prediction of June 1st.
I don't know.
Elon is getting sued himself because a startup founder says, you stole the name Grok. Now, Grok, which is the name of the OpenAI, or rather the XAI chatbot, of course, is named
Robert
Heinlein. Right. It's
Stranger in a Strange Land.
But there is another company that has the trademark. And in fact, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office says we're going to suspend Grok's trademark application because the agency argued the name could be confused with that of two other companies, AI chip maker Grok with a Q and software provider Grok Stream, but now a third company called Bizly says, no, we've got Grok. Where's Heinlein's estate in all of this? Bisley says he came up with the name during a brainstorming session with a colleague who used the word as a verb, as we all have in our sophomore dorm rooms.
It's probably not even trademarkable for that reason.
Is it? I don't know.
As it was defined by Heinlein in his book in the first place, it was always a verb.
Yeah, it's the Martian verb to understand. So really, maybe the Martians have prior claim. I don't know.
Well, that's why Elon's going to go up there to negotiate with them.
Shah says he tried to trademark it in 2021. He was in the midst of launching an AI-powered app for meetings called Grok when Musk announced his chatbot with the same name. It was a day I'll never forget, Shah says. I woke up and looked at my phone and there were so many messages from friends saying, "Did you get acquired by Elon? Congrats." Anyway, the whole thing is in limbo now, not just because of this, but because the USPTO says, well, there's these other two people.
It's also the nature of trademarks. That's nothing weird, right?
Yeah.
Trademarking is a hard job.
Yeah. We have the Twit trademark for another few years. And there was some concern about Twitter when a couple of years after we trademarked Twit, decided to make that the name of their social network. We weren't happy about it. We talked to them sternly. And that's all I can say.
Well, you're required to defend your trademarks, right? I think that's the deal. You have
defended
to
it.
Show that you sent the letter.
We care.
Or you give it up.
More than a letter, let me tell you.
Nice.
Anyway, Elon did do, and actually very curious. And Richard, as the autodidact, maybe you can explain this. It seems apparently to be a violation of SEC rules because the same financial outfit was on both sides of this transaction. Elon said on Friday he'd sold, big air quotes on that, to XAI, which he also owns, in what the New York Times called an unusual arrangement.
This is asset propping. It's a pretty normal thing when your values have been tanking like crazy.
That's the point, isn't it? The all-stock deal valued XAI at $80 billion and X at $33 billion.
Right. Well, more importantly, now you get a year to restate in the merge, so you get a year to right your ship.
Interesting. Yeah, because neither is worth anything, really, right now.
Really, it's all fiction, right? And it's all privately held.
And both are losing money.
Even if somebody kicked off a lawsuit for an audit, you've got a couple of years. So again, just munge the math together. Now nobody can assess value for a while until new things are done. You buy some time.
Right.
What about the impact on Tesla?
Oh,
Tesla's
that's because you're talking about the fact that that Elon financed his purchase of X.
That's what I've read somewhere. Yeah,
by borrowing $13 billion using the Tesla stock as collateral.
And if the collateral goes below
in general, well, and it's still got an issue without a doubt. But
there still could be a call.
He's always got a risk of a call. It's not just the Twitter purchase; it's also how he lives.
Right. It's all floating.
Routinely.
It's all floating.
Well, this is also late breaking here from the FT. Trump is kicking off a sale of $2.3 billion in Truth Social stake.
Oh, yeah. He's going to cash in.
Yeah.
He's going to cash in.
What was that a moments clause you people have? What was that again?
That's only for peanut farms, Peter. That's only for peanut farms.
Oh, the emoluments? Yeah, we don't do those anymore. That was that's very
a quaint era.
Very 1776. We don't.
It's not my document, but I've heard you guys have one.
This quote from the New York Times, I love this. Linda Yaccarino, X's chief executive, wrote on X of the deal, "The future could not be brighter." X declined to comment. It feels like they've left
what? Isn't she the CEO X? Isn't she?
Yeah, I don't know who X
by definition.
It feels like these are redacted documents, but no, this is an actual sentence in the New York Times.
No, this sounds like a Chat GPT 2 sentence. That's what it sounds like.
X has declined to comment. Probably sent out a poop emoji if I know X.
That would be the
I
logical
don't think there's
outcome.
anybody there to do that anymore.
Yeah. You can get a stochastic parrot for that, for sure.
Yeah. Andrew Verstein, who's a professor at UCLA Law School, quoted in the Times, the Elon version, in other words, the version of the deal that Elon is saying is, it does seem to say, I have a company, maybe not bankrupt, just not my crown jewel. I will buy it in a way that makes it look like a success using one of my other companies, which incidentally is pretty deep in the hole too. Anyway, X's financial outlook has declined, but it's recently gone up quite a bit. Remember, the banks wrote off a lot of the debt.
So what happens if you've already written off the debt and now you're getting
I think
paid?
they're out of luck. I don't know. Do they still have the collateral? I don't know. This is why I was hoping Richard, being a financial
thing,
genius,
isn't it, Richard? It's a tax thing.
If you've
even that.
done the write down, you get a tax break. You can't take it back because you
can't take it back. It's done.
Everything.
This is our loss.
Everything's fixable with enough lawyers. Admittedly, like you can, but would you? Like you've taken the drawdown already.
Did the lenders for Twitter get actual money out of this?
They got stock. They wouldn't have gotten money. They would get stock in the combined company. And it was, I think it was a 30-70 split. So 30% X, 70% XAI. So
it's also a private deal, right? So they don't actually have to file with the SEC. Like nobody really knows. There's whatever they decided to say in the public. They're not required to say anything. They're not on any governance.
Yeah. Well, there's at least some governance because, again,
IRS, but
there is apparently a rule that you can't use the same bank for both sides of the transaction, which I presume is to protect investors. Nobody's going to enforce that.
That's also just plain old-fashioned kiting too, right? Like you're just playing games with money at that point.
Right. Replit's CEO Amjad Masad says learning to code is a waste of time.
I dig his vibe.
Yeah, it's very vibey. Replit was a great place to code because it had many languages, and you would host the coding engine, and it was really a kind of a cool company for a long time. But then they got into this AI thing, and now it's an AI coding tool. And of course, as a result, Replit's CEO is saying, "Don't study coding now. It's a waste of time." How do you feel about that? Richard, should I learn to code? I was thinking of going back to school.
I think you still have to express your intent that gets generated into code, whether you write it or not.
A good point.
It's still the thinking, right? And Andrei Karthapathy, who originally coined the term vibe coding, was talking about coders experimenting with the language tools to generate code because it's an experience. It's not quality code, and it's not necessarily good outcomes. You'll often have rabbit holes, but it is an experimental approach to, challenging an idea, seeing some possibilities. Maybe that stimulates some ideas for you to write something usable in code.
We talked about this on Windows Weekly earlier, and he said it's good for weekend projects, which you point out means, well, obviously, if it's good for weekend projects, you're a coder, because nobody's not a coder is doing weekend projects. I can give you Karpathy's tweet here. I pulled it up for Windows Weekly. I asked who coined the term vibe coding of my Perplexity, and came up with this tweet. Where is it? Here we go. Oh, do I have to? Oh no, I'm not running the board. You are, Benito. It's a new kind of coding, Andrei Karpathy says. I call it vibe coding. By the way, Karpathy was one of the founders of OpenAI, worked for a long time at director of AI at Tesla. So, he knows a little bit about wherever he speaks. There's a new kind of coding I call vibe coding, where you fully give into the vibes. Wait a minute, I'm doing it in the wrong voice. Embrace exponentials and forget that the code even exists. It's possible because the LLMs are getting too good. Also, I just talked to Composer with Super Whisper, so I barely even touched the keyboard. I asked for the dumbest things like, quote, decrease the padding on the sidebar by half because I'm too lazy to find it. He says, I accept all always. I don't read the diffs anymore. Wow. When I get error messages, this is a good one, I just copy paste them in with no comment. Usually that fixes it. The code, and this is what's scary to me, grows beyond my usual comprehension. I'd have to really read through it for a while. Sometimes the LLMs can't fix a bug, so I just work around it or ask for random changes until it goes away. All right, I'm done here. I'm going off to Burning Man. Have a great weekend.
Yeah, you left off the pulls on the bong in that, but yeah.
I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and copy paste stuff, and it mostly works, dude. Karpathy does not sound like that at all. In fact, he's a pretty hard-edged engineer. This was in February. I mean, things have changed since then.
Yeah.
Probably should have been published April 1st, but still.
Yeah, maybe. But I have to say, Dario Amodei of Anthropic says 90% within 6 months of all code could be generated by AI. 90%.
Bet.
Doesn't mean it'll be good code.
I'll take that bet.
Yeah,
you want to take that bet?
You wander on GitHub
90% of all code.
That's so good.
Well,
that seems a little.
Yeah. If he's suggesting that so much code is going to be generated from between now and 6 months, that it's actually 90% of volume more than we have now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, but isn't there a new definition of code potentially that anytime you ask an LLM for something, in essence, it's creating code, you just don't see it.
Yeah, try a no-code solution like Power Platform or any of the others. There's still code, you just don't see it.
Actually, Karpathy, I watched that 3.5-hour video. Have you ever watched that yet, Jeff?
I tried to get through it all.
It's long.
It's very long. It's very good. And we were talking about it also on Windows Weekly. I think it's the best description of how LLMs
it's great.
really
Did you
work.
watch the whole thing, Richard?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you're a better man than I, or you have no life. One of the two.
In any event, one of the things he says, which I think is interesting, is that often the best thing to ask an AI to do is generate code. For instance, there's that famous story where you say how many R's in strawberry, and I learned this from Karpathy's video, because the LLM doesn't actually have words in it, doesn't have the word strawberry in it. Mm-hmm. It has tokens that may represent more than a word, maybe represent multiple words or parts of a word. So when it sees strawberry, it doesn't see 3 R's. It just sees a token. So it often says 2 or 1 or 5 or none. But if you, and Karpathy uses this as an example, if you say generate the code, or he just adds the phrase use code, then the LLM writes Python code that takes the word strawberry, counts the R's, and returns the right result. Huh. And that's a really good example of how an LLM is ignorant, but can write code and often can give you the right answer if you ask it to use code.
Well, one of the advantages that code has is that the source of it is places like GitHub, where it has already been compiled and it's already been validated. Like in general, the quality information on GitHub and code is higher quality than the information on the rest of the internet.
Right.
So the LLM has a much better chance of rendering something useful from its data set.
I do think that the interesting goal is to come up with code that hasn't been written before. I think it was Stephen Wolfram who said this. In fact, I know it was. Is that one of the things LLMs can do? They work on patterns. They notice patterns and they repeat patterns. But one of the things they can do, because of the depth of their knowledge, the speed of their computation, is they may spot patterns humans do not.
Sure.
And so as a result, they may actually write code based on what they've seen before that a human has never written, that a human may never normally write because it sees stuff.
We're seeing this in medicine now too, right?
Exactly.
The fact that they're able to take all the telemetry of a trauma room, all of the cameras, all of the instrumentation, and consolidate it in a generative AI model, they're finding trends in actions that people didn't pick up that are improving outcomes.
Exactly.
That's the power of it.
And I think that's exciting. Yeah. Is it AGI? No, it's just...
Well, so there's this argument that the side effect of our current information system world is built up enough knowledge that we no longer can manage it. We've now started to make tools that can manage it when properly utilized so that we take advantage of what we've built.
Yeah.
So, Richard, for the benefit of our audience and me, because we agree with each other and I want to have ammunition... tell me why you
back here. Do you
tell
mind?
me why you think AGI is a long way to say BS.
Well, because
don't put words in his mouth.
He already said it.
Yeah.
He already said it.
Nice.
He said we agree.
Because token assembly is not thought, right? Like, let's be clear. And the smart people like Hinton and so forth have already said as much while quietly cashing their checks. I'm not that clever. I've just read good books that have talked more deeply about what consciousness and thinking and logic processing actually represents and said, hey, the software we're writing isn't these things.
So let me ask you
but
this.
Here's my counter to that. And by the way, the jury's out. I don't know. No one knows. The jury's out.
I wish I had some sand with me. Go ahead.
But the counter to that is what makes you think we're anything more than a token analyzer and a probabilistic prediction machine?
Fine.
Right? What are we doing that is better?
Mark Twain thought we were just machines.
We're summarizing. Yeah, we project with few samples. We summarize off of projections. We can order sets of steps with incomplete information. Like,
well, but I would submit that what we do is based on our life experience.
Data and reduce them.
But it's based on our life experience. We are the sum of our life experience. Absent that, are we anything? I mean, sure, an LLM is ingesting the internet.
So there was a wonderful book that I probably talked about a few years ago that I wrote about called How History Gets Things Wrong by
excellent
Alex.
Book.
Yeah, it was a wonderful book. And the argument is that the theory of mind is BS. So trying to track after the theory of mind to computers is all wrong because that's not how we operate. We basically have a huge VCR in our head, and when we hit a circumstance, we play a tape and we go down the path that we went through before. Right. So
just like an LLM.
Well, no. So let me ask this question to both of you.
Yes.
A whole bunch of talk about how I had this discussion last week with Jason about reasoning models. And all they're doing is cutting up a task into slices. Is that reasoning?
I'm going to let Richard start.
He's actually thinking, which is rare on this show. We don't do this usually, Richard.
Nice. I had a bonk. You got to say it again. Sorry, I had an internet bonk there.
Okay. Well, I was giving you credit for thinking.
We are getting some
deep, profound thought.
We are getting some hits on Richard's internet, and I apologize.
We're talking
one
about
of the reasons we're out of sync and things. Yeah.
Reasoning. All the models say we have a reasoning model. Yeah. What I'm questioning is, what is reasoning? It seems to me that it's more than just slicing up a task into multiple parts.
Well, you would think that.
Yeah, no, they're abusing the word reasoning there because it's good for marketing purposes.
I love Richard. This is why I'm so pleased here.
Which is normal. Start with the fact that artificial intelligence was coined by a guy who's trying to raise money from the military. It's always been a marketing term.
That's really
true. It's not artificial and it's not intelligent. Like none of that has been true. Right? We're just abusing words here. There are larger concepts to reason, and they tend towards more philosophical than they are technological.
Well, the reasoning, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the difference that happened with DeepSeek and other reasoning models was they started using reinforcement learning more. And that's actually a very interesting slant on this, because you take an LLM, which is basically tokenizing a vast amount of information and figuring out the probabilities of the next token. And it is completely stochastic. But then you don't stop with that because that gives you nothing. To get a chat, and this is what Karpathy talks about in this video, to get a chat bot, now you have to tune it. One of the newer it's actually not new, but one of the hot techniques right now is this reinforcement learning. And this was what was used with AlphaZero. DeepMind's really first success was this chess playing computer, Alpha, and then AlphaGo. But both of the first ones were rules based. They gave it a lot of games and said, this is what a game looks like, just as you might if you were doing radiology. Say, here's a bunch of X-rays. These have cancers. These do not, and generate a rule set out of that. That's the LLM way. Reinforcement learning is more like AlphaZero, where all they told AlphaZero was, these are the rules of Go. Now, play a billion games. It did, and in just a matter of hours, it played itself almost a huge, vast number of games and learned from the games it played itself.
But is that reasoning, or is that just the biggest A/B
reasoning is
test
a
you've ever
fuzzy
had?
word. That's a word we use. That's what these reasoning models are doing, is this so-called reinforcement learning, where they get to the end of the game and it was bad computer, you lost, or good computer, you won. And after a series of those, it actually became better than any human. Furthermore, could come up with moves no human could come up with. It wasn't trained on human games. It trained itself. So that's...
Well, and the Go players that played it said it played weirdly, like it did not play
non-human. It was non-human, but it won.
Either way, you're training a set of weights into a neural net. So what you have is two different training strategies, essentially. An adversarial training strategy, which was take the rules and play against yourself, and an analytical or more, generative approach where you learn from the existing data set of games. But either way, you're just trying to generate a set of weights. There is no reason.
Right.
So, Richard, to your point about brand, I just put in the rundown something. I recommended this guy for a future guest, Thomas Haigh, I think it's pronounced, is a computer historian. Line 94. He has a wonderful PowerPoint for a lecture about artificial intelligence, the history of a brand.
I love it.
And he says that's not pejorative. A brand is about ownership. A brand is about promotion. A brand is about marketing, right? Exactly what you're saying. And to go back through the history here, he was the historian in residence at the Computer History Museum sessions about the pioneers of desktop publishing. So I just looked him up because he was really interesting, and this is his perspective about trying to look at AI.
Yeah, Gary's book, by the way, Gary Rivlin, our guest last week, AI Valley, covers a lot of this as well.
Yep, this is true.
But I think you use this as a way.
It's not wrong. It's just saying that I think it's Richard's point is that we've given it this name.
Yeah.
That their name is meaningless.
But when we say reasoning, what are you doing? What's that's your branding for what you're doing, which isn't necessarily reasoning. I mean,
part
how
of what
do you know you're doing anything?
Well, I'm not even saying the reasoning
better.
is the thing that we should expect them to do. That's the wrong test.
We don't even know what reasoning is.
No, well, there, you just nailed it, Leo. We don't even know what reasoning is. So how are you saying that the AI has reasoning then? How are you claiming?
But how are you saying it doesn't? Because what is what we call reasoning?
No. You have to prove the positive. You can't prove a negative. You have to prove the positive. It's
it proves itself by producing output that we would say if we produced it was reasoning.
No.
That's how it proves.
And now
itself.
you're getting into that Turing test game, which is I'll know intelligence when I see it, and yet I keep saying faces and bowling balls and cars, right? Like humans are predisposed to anthropomorphize because it's a good survival strategy.
I agree, and I would also submit that we have a self-inflated. We have an inflated sense of self.
Yeah.
And we imagine that what we are doing, this magical thing inside this gray matter, is somehow superior to what a machine could do. And
there we agree. Proven. We're setting the wrong standard here. We're saying replicate us. Well, why limit yourself to us?
No, we're not. No, that's what a superintelligence is. It's far better than us.
Well, but only in science fiction.
Yeah.
Well, so far. Far. People, you know what? When the Wright brothers said, we think we could fly in this thing, people thought
there's a definition of flying.
Yeah.
There's a clear definition of flying.
Yeah. People were flying before the Wright brothers. What the Wright brothers does, which showed powered flight over a distance more than the energy that was entered it when it lifted off.
They weren't gliding. They were flying. Yeah.
That's right.
But people thought they were crazy.
Well, no. Anybody who would get into a contraption that looked like that was fairly nuts.
Yes. It's like getting into a Tesla right now on auto drive.
Yeah, there you go. Here is what Perplexity says a reasoning model is. The core components of reasoning models are structured formats like semantic networks, ontologies, and graphs. That's a knowledge representation. Then there's an inference engine, and then there's a learning algorithm.
This is tautological as hell.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, abductive reasoning, and
they've really built a bit of software there to trigger the anthropomorphic perception of reasoning from the software.
Yeah.
It's showing you words, whether they're accurate or not,
right?
That appear to present a chain to the outcome you wanted. That's reasoning.
And I'm not even sure that that's actually part of the process that results in the end.
I tend to agree with you. It's almost a kind of progress bar.
It's
not necessarily progress to what it's actually doing. It's I'm going to occupy you.
Yeah. Instead of putting up a spinning ball or a slider, I'm going to spit out text because I think that's what I do.
That's true. Yeah. I do think there is something going on behind that as well, but
there's something, but I don't think that's displaying.
It's breaking down
transparency.
What it's doing is breaking down the proposed problem into smaller bits that it can
or at least creating a perception that you're seeing the problem.
Maybe it's not doing that. All right. Bloomberg has been using AI for summaries, but the New York Times is quick to point out that it has had a rocky start with AI summary.
I mean, this is one of the most popular features of these LLMs right now is summarization.
You'd think it could do that pretty well. Bloomberg has issued, according to the Times, again, a competitor.
There's no sense of meaning.
And the question has always been, if the summary of the meeting was bad, how would you know? Because you only read the summary.
I am on the wrong show. I thought this was a pro AI show. All right, fine.
Oh no,
I'm pro AI. I'm just not pro
enthusiasts.
BS.
We truly are.
Yes, that's why we're trying to stop. When I was a TV critic, I said my job was to expect the best of TV.
Yeah.
Right, and so I was going to be more disappointed than anyone else when it was bad. So Richard and I love AI and want it to work, but we just can't stand it being taken over by this BS. Right, Richard?
Well, how do you know it's BS until it happens? You just decided it can't happen.
I'll know BS when I see it, right?
Well, I don't know how you would know it's BS.
It's a pretty simple set of tests, really, right? Like you have to walk through the sequence and take all the different pieces.
I would say there's a kind of a strong current of proofs of success in AI. Here's an article from the MIT Technology Review. The first trial of generative AI psychotherapy shows it might help with depression.
This comes after last week's story in which OpenAI opened itself up to that kind of research and said, well, it's a problem. Which this is research. This is normal research.
They do point out
to Hello Eliza from Feinbaum in 1968.
We've come a long way since that, though.
And yet people talk to it for hours.
Yeah, that's true. They say this research does not validate the wave of AI therapy bots flooding the market. This is a clinical trial of a therapy bot that said or suggests it was as effective as human therapy for participants with depression, anxiety, or risk for developing eating disorders. The team was led by psychiatric researchers and psychologists at the Geisel School of Medicine at Dartmouth. They built a tool called Therabot. The results came out end of the month, last month in a journal. Oh, yeah, the New England Journal of Medicine. Not a bad journal. Peer-reviewed, I presume.
If you might want to go from there to line 83.
Well, let me finish. Test the bot.
I'm sorry. I thought you breathed. You see, you took a moment, and I thought that was it.
To test the bot, the researchers ran an 8-week clinical trial with 210 participants who had symptoms of depression or generalized anxiety disorder or were high risk for eating disorders. Half had access to Therabot, and the control group did not.
I want to see the approval memo that was written at the university for that test.
The rest of you, you're on your own. Suck it.
With them. Yeah.
Hey, let's face it. Why was ChatGPT so popular? They got 100 million users in the 2 months. Well, they ran it over Christmas where everybody's depressed anyway, and they wanted something to talk to. The software was close enough. Like they could have gotten a dog. And they would have had a better outcome.
Participants responded to prompts from the AI and initiated conversations. So you'd get a prompt, and then you would respond and initiate a conversation, averaging about 10 messages a day. Participants with depression experienced a 51% reduction in symptoms, the best result in the study. Anxiety, 31%. Eating disorders, 19% reduction in concerns about body image and weight. These are all self-reported through surveys, okay?
Okay, so questionable survey, but also, isn't it amazing how when you get a chance to talk to someone about your problems, you feel better?
Even something, as it turns out.
That doesn't matter. Like, just voice it.
It's kind of like being on a podcast.
Yeah.
You are talking to someone here, though. That is it.
It's a matrix. I'm not
wait a minute.
Sure.
You don't really know.
Okay. Correction. The study was published in NAJMAI, a journal by the New England Journal of Medicine, not in the New England Journal of Medicine. Okay. I don't know if it's even peer-reviewed. It's just something they publish.
They have a link to it?
Yeah, just to go to the MIT. I meant
a link to the actual study.
Oh, I don't know. This is line 31, as you are wont to say.
If we're going to trade lines here, I'll
I got a line.
I'll see your
Here's
line.
A line for you.
Thanks.
China's already testing AI-powered robots in factories. You care about that?
Wait. You skipped my other link.
Oh, you wanted
it's
something. You thought this was democracy? Is that what you thought? All right. What line? Go ahead. No, wait a minute. Hold it, because I got to do an ad anyway. And then your line.
You're going to want to come back to hear mine, because my line is good.
We will answer the question, whose line is it anyway?
Nice.
Paul was shocked the first time he was on this show about how we talk to each other.
I just like the podcast clickbait that's going on. That's the best.
You can't have clickbait within the podcast. They've
They've
already clicked. There's nothing we can do to increase the clicks at this point. You're watching Intelligent Machines. It's great to have you, Richard Campbell. A nice foil. I didn't realize you were going to team up and gang up on me, but okay.
No. Jeff telegraphed his hand right at the beginning. It was like, that's my man. I know where I'm going.
Host of as Runners Radio. And damn it, a man whose intellect I respect. Gosh darn it. He is, of course, a regular on Windows Weekly and is sticking around for a long Wednesday. But when you're in Vegas and you don't have anything to do, what better?
It's a boring town. There's nothing to do there.
Oh, goodness. Like, especially if you're any good at math.
Yeah. Probability, you understand it? Oh, you're in the wrong place. Yeah. They didn't build those hotels based on all the money they were giving winners.
Yeah.
Also with us, Jeff Jarvis, Emeritus Professor of Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Narmock Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York, now at Stony Brook. Great school, SUNY Stony Brook.
That it is.
And Montclair. No teaching duties, though, this spring?
Not right now.
Maybe in the fall, or do you are you done with those undergraduate types? Huh?
I'm writing syllabi. I'm working on
syllabi. So are you writing a book is the question. I think you are.
Oh, I think yesterday I got a draft.
This is the AI book you were editing?
No. This is the cultural history of the linotype.
Oh,
and you're editing a book on AI.
Very cool. That's
very busy,
that's
man.
not announced yet. That stuff will come.
Shh.
It's all right.
I know nothing. Our show today brought to you by Big ID. I do know that. The next generation AI-powered data security, compliance, and privacy solution. Now, whatever you think about AGI, it's clear AI is transforming businesses. But there's a dark side. Data risk, the problems with bias, compliance challenges, The real question is, are you adopting AI responsibly? See, Jeff, you're going to like this sponsor. Big ID delivers end-to-end AI and data governance to help enterprises manage risk, enforce policies, and ensure responsible AI adoption. Ensure AI only accesses safe-to-use relevant data, right? You don't want it going through all your stuff. Automatically tags sensitive information by policy and by type. Big ID is the only leading solution to uncover dark data through AI classification, to identify AI risk, to manage the data lifecycle, and scale your AI strategy. And the beauty of this all, it integrates with your existing tech stack with unmatched data source coverage. It allows you to automate privacy and security workflows. You can take action on data risks with automated remediation orchestrations. You can automate privacy management, regulatory compliance, data rights requests, right? That's nice, and more. Partners include ServiceNow, Palo Alto Networks, Microsoft, Google, AWS. With Big ID's advanced AI models, it's interesting. You're solving this problem with AI. You gain visibility and control over all your data. It's the platform Intuit named #1 for data classification in accuracy, speed, and scalability. Now, you may wonder, well, who uses Big ID? Somebody with a lot of data, right? Somebody who's got data that you would want to use in your AI and some that you wouldn't. Well, how about the U.S. Army? That's a pretty good customer, pretty good reference. The Army uses Big ID to illuminate dark data, and I bet they have data in all sorts of nooks and crannies, to automate data retention, which is, of course, required. Here's a quote, great quote from U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, the big boys. They say, the first wow moment with Big ID, this is a quote, a direct quote. The first wow moment with Big ID came with being able to have that single interface that inventories a variety of data holdings, including structured and unstructured data across emails, zip files, SharePoint, databases, and more. To see that mass and to be able to correlate across those is completely novel. The U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command continues, I've never seen a capability to bring this together like Big ID does. Talk about an endorsement. That's awesome. Imagine, all the different disparate data sources the Army has. CNBC recognized Big ID as one of the top 25 startups for the enterprise. They were named to the Inc. 5000 and the Deloitte 500 4 years running. The publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine says Big ID embodies 3 major features we judges look for to become winners: understanding tomorrow's threats today, providing a cost-effective solution, and innovating in unexpected ways that can help mitigate cyber risk and get one step ahead of the next breach. Boy, I hope I've at least intrigued you, if not convinced you. Start protecting your sensitive data wherever your data lives. No matter what, even zip files, folks. BigID.com/IM. That's the address to go to. That way they know you saw it here. And you, as a result, will get a free demo to see how Big ID can help your organization reduce data risk and accelerate the adoption of generative AI. Again, that's BIGID, Big ID, BIGID.com. And don't forget the /IM. There's also a free guide there to help you understand the risks of generative AI and data-driven strategies to ensure responsible and compliant AI adoption at BigID.com/IM. We thank them so much for supporting intelligent machines. See, this is an enterprise after your own hearts. Mm-hmm. Use AI, but use it responsibly.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it is, we all agree it's a useful tool, right? It's not.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out exactly what uses.
Well, that's where you might want to go to line 83 for, I think, a very useful tool.
You guys, are you working in concert now? Did you send out a memo to each other? What's going on?
Listen, the professor knows how to pick up a signal that's sitting there. He grabbed it and he ran.
He picked it up, all right.
It's clickbait.
Is this the story about Tinder?
Yes.
They want you to flirt with an AI bot before you talk to a human. I love the name of this. It's called the Game. You got game? OpenAI built it for him. It lets you practice your pickup lines.
It's a speech-to-speech AI technology that creates voices and scenarios so ridiculous you can't help but laugh, taking the pressure off and making it easy to test your game without overthinking it.
Oh, this is from April Fools.
Is it?
It was launched yesterday.
Oh,
it says it's no prank. This is from Fast Company. Okay, they say it's not an April Fool's joke, though.
I can't try because, of course, I don't have Tinder, nor am I going to.
Yeah, your wife wouldn't like that so much. Well, I'll sign up. Lisa trusts me. No, maybe I better not.
Yeah,
actually, no. I was going to say something, but I don't want to get me in trouble. Our son signed up for Tinder. We were very happy. We said, yeah, go get her. Swipe right. So the goal is to blur the line between digital and the real world. Something Tinder has been exploring with events like the Single Summer Series, Chaotic Singles Party, and Swipe Off. I guess I'm just left. I'm not part of the crowd here. I don't understand anything that they're saying.
This is the story we need Paris for. We need Paris for this story.
Paris, we need a young person.
Yes, we do. We'll hold it to next week. We'll do it again, right?
A young single person. So Fast Company, Eve Upton-Clark, writing for Fast Company, said she went to the launch event, which was hosted by OpenAI, by the way, or at OpenAI's New York City office. She said, I got to try the game myself. Let's just say my gym meet cute didn't exactly end in a rom-com style kiss in the rain.
You know, the thing that this story brought to my mind was something Professor Scott Galloway was talking about. That he found some stat about more than half of young men had never asked a woman out in person. And
that's depressing.
That just sort of,
because they don't go on dates anymore. This is where he drives me nuts. He expects he wants it all to go back to 1960.
Exactly.
They don't do that anymore.
But he also see that this might be a tool to encourage you to at least experiment in a way that won't get you slapped in the face, and maybe have
unless it encourages you to be a jerk. Who knows how the software's done?
There's a whole other direction there, the negging direction, if you want to get ugly. But yeah, hopefully the software.
All right, thank you, Leo.
Down.
That was a good story. I liked it.
It's a good story. It's a fun story.
Yeah,
it's light, and it was related. You see, there was a flow to the show.
Would you guys please use your investigative noggins to tell me if this is BS, an April Fool's joke, or true? This came from a site I am not familiar with called HackRead. X was hit by a 2.8 billion profile data leak. The story is that a disgruntled employee on his way out the door, part of the mass layoffs.
Credible as can be.
Yeah, it's disgruntled employee, but it's also all over everything now. So
this was the first place I saw it, but now it is confirmed.
Now, Forbes has got it. I presume we'll hear it from Troy Hunt soon enough, as soon as the data set shows up on the dark web.
The original post by Thinking One states that the data, around 400 gigabytes worth, was exfiltrated during messy layoffs at X. The poster claims they tried contacting X through multiple methods but received no response. Join the club. Did you get the poop emoji? Frustrated with the lack of acknowledgement from X and the general public, they decided to merge the newly leaked data with another infamous data breach from a couple of years ago. And now there are billions of names and information. What would you get? Well, it's just the information Twitter had, which is account creation dates, user IDs, screen names, profile descriptions and URLs, location, time zone settings, display names, follower counts, tweet count, friend count, source of last tweet, status settings. It's not, you don't get phone numbers, I guess, even though Twitter does have those for a lot of people. They say, well, wait a minute. Well, how do you get 2.8 billion when there are only 335 million monthly active users?
Yeah, they're all bots.
They're all bots. They're all bots.
Yeah, so many bots.
So many bots. X has not confirmed. X has not said anything.
You know what? I'm not going to trust them. I'll trust Troy Hunt. I'll watch Have I Been Pwned.
Yeah, watch it with interest. Although, did you see that Troy Hunt got pwned?
Yep. and immediately published it too.
Good for him.
Yeah.
We talked about it yesterday on Security Now. He fell for a phishing scam, an email that purported to come from MailChimp, which is his mail service provider, saying, "Hey, we had to close your account because of spam. This is a very common email you might get. Log into your account and tell us whether
the
we're
link
wrong."
instead of going into MailChimp by hand, which is the right thing to do.
And he thought he was safe because he clicked the button. It asked for the password and login. Okay, fine. But he had two-factor on it.
Yeah.
Right? That's supposed to protect you. But here's the problem. Bad guys now are using automation with these attacks so that they can act so quickly that they can redirect your 2FA code, log in. They downloaded his entire database of subscribers and logged out before Troy, who almost immediately realized, oh my God, because nothing happened when he finished the entry. Nothing, he didn't log in. He went, oh God, this is phishing. So he immediately logged in, changed his password. It was still too late because they're automating this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good on him for, it must have been embarrassing.
There's one thing about Troy Hunt is not, it's a hypocrite. Like
his own breach is now listed in Have I Been Pwned?
That's right there. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Good for him.
Painful.
Yeah, and he was dealing with it from Iceland too.
Yeah. He says he was jet lagged. He had lots of good reasons for it. But look, if somebody Troy Hunt runs a site about data breaches, he advises people on security. His site will tell you if you've got a password that's been used before. It's been used by Google and Firefox and all the major password to folks to see if your password's been in a breach. He's the guy. He's the man. And he's also a damn fine looking Aussie. And still
he's a proper super dude. No two ways about it.
Yeah. He fell for it.
Yeah. We all have moments of weakness. None of us is perfect all the time, even when you're in the profession.
Oh God, that's got to be embarrassing.
Yeah. It's tough.
Good list on TechCrunch. I hope they keep this up to date. This is dated March 30th, so it's 2 days old. A list of all the models released this year and what they're good at. So if you've been looking around for which AI model to use, I hear a lot of, I haven't used Gemini 2.5, but a lot of people saying good things about this. And in fact, on the most recent leaderboards, it's coming in on top.
Yeah. The .NET Rocks episode we're publishing tomorrow is talking to Dr. Dorota Burchell about measuring the quality of LLMs. And exactly that problem. Like I ask that question all the time. What's your, what one are you using? Oh, this one, it's the best. It's like, how do you measure best? Like, what is that to you?
Ask him about AI Arena. I wonder if that's a good place or not for seeing this. This is the one I think this is it. No, this is the wrong. Oh, this is cool though.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at that. Oh, I'm sorry. Got distracted.
Look, it's reasoning.
What am I thinking? Never mind. It's looking at me. You're looking. Stop looking at me. Yeah. So anyway, the list. Let's go back to the list. For those of you not watching the video, I went to the wrong site and I got a robot that was following the mouse and I couldn't stop. ChatGPT 4.0, the image generation, that's the one you cannot get away from. Studio Ghibli.
Extraordinary, though.
But it is amazing, isn't it?
It's really beautiful, yeah.
So good that Sam Altman had to go on X and say, please stop using it. You're killing us.
Now they're running out of money, and it's all going to Microsoft.
It's burning up the servers.
Well, they limited it to what, 3 a month or something? 3 a day, 3 a week?
Must be more than 3 a month. Maybe 3 a day.
3 a day.
I got rate limited pretty quickly, but it's
How many
really
pictures
good.
did you make?
I don't know. Let me go look.
Our Discord alone is burning it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing quite a few fun things.
Yeah.
Let me go. I did get a reject image. Wait a minute. Now they're advertising it. Image creation just got better. ChatGPT now thinks a little longer to make more accurate images. Okay, try it. So now you get the create image command. So I did get a rejection because I asked it. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like it did it anyway. I said, paint me like your French girls. And
You're worried about Tinder.
Oh, Leo,
line
you
from
write
Titanic,
the best prompts.
and it says, I couldn't generate that because request violates our content policies, but now it's generating it.
There you go.
I think I found a workaround, my friends. I'll show you the stuff. While it's doing that, I'll show you the stuff I did the other day. This is the Twit logo done in a Renaissance painting style.
Nice.
Not so interesting. I did say, and this is pure text, use the disaster girl meme and make it look like Disney drew it.
Wow, that nailed it.
That's pretty damn amazing.
Nailed it. This is the house on fire. The girl's looking arch.
Yeah, she's got that little look. Mickey.
So I had this discussion with Jason. Is there anything wrong with doing something in the style of? Is that theft?
No.
No, right?
Yeah, I think TechCrunch interviewed a bunch of IP attorneys who said it's really almost impossible to attack somebody who's stealing your style. That's a
look and feel thing, right?
Well, there's trade dress, and there have been successful trade dress lawsuits, but apparently the courts pretty much say, you can't say, well, that's. I mean, you could look at it and know that this is Grumpy Cat in the Studio Ghibli style. Right. But how would Studio Ghibli?
Yeah, who's suing you, Grumpy Cat or Ghibli?
Yeah, maybe. Here's Mona Lisa in the style of Vincent van Gogh. I'm pretty sure he's not going to come after me.
No, he can't hear you anyway.
No. Let me see. Let me go back to my rejected image. It's still working on the French girls.
No, I think that's where it stopped.
Teasing.
I think that's where it stopped working.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I get it.
It said, I'm not doing this. You can't make me.
Yeah. Because it didn't give me an image at all last time. It just gave me the text. I'm sitting on this, Benito. I'm hoping.
Only went as far as the eyes and stop. That's brilliant.
It realized I don't know what it realized. That was the famous line from Titanic that Kate Winslet said to Leonardo DiCaprio when she removed her bodice. Stability AIs. We haven't heard about them in a long time. Stability AIs, stable virtual camera. We're going back through that TechCrunch list of the new models released this year. Image generation startup Stability AI has launched a model that can create 3D scenes and camera angles from a single 2D image. You can use it on Hugging Face because it is open weights. Cohere's Aya Vision, a multimodal model called Aya Vision that claims it's the best in class at doing things like captioning images. That, by the way, is a really good use for AI. My blogging platform, Microblog, when I post an image there, will generate an AI-generated description of the image, which is invariably better and more detailed than the one I would have written.
And talk about like the classic that was impossible 20 years ago. Right? They XTC
5 years ago.
Things.
Yeah, you'd say, what's in this image? And it goes, is that a hot dog? I don't know.
But the ImageNet competitions that really kicked off this thing with...
That's right. Yeah, Fei-Fei Li. That's exactly
2011, 2012, right? They had it nailed by 2015.
I wish I could find the video of this. When I was doing Call for Help in Toronto, because a lot of this was happening at the University of Toronto.
Yeah. That's where Hinton was. And Susquehanna.
Yep. We had two people talking about ImageNet. This must have been 2007. I mean, it was very early, showing us, and it was the cat thing where they could distinguish different kinds of cats. It was very impressive.
Yeah.
Could very well have been Sutskever. I don't know who it was. If I could find the video. It was pretty, I think Amber found them. It was really impressive. And that was many moons ago. That was 18 years ago. So
we all solved CAPTCHAs, and now it's better.
What I find interesting is that most people take for granted that their images will be auto captioned now. And of course it works.
Well, it's really important for alt text, right? When I post on a social network, and I know you hate this, Jeff, when Mastodon says, you didn't put alt text on your image.
No, I'm good about it. I do it.
Okay.
I do it 99.9% of the time.
Blind users, they're using screen readers. They don't know what your image is, but the screen reader will read alt text.
The thing I wonder is, are the people who scold me people who it matters to or not? Are they doing it on behalf of others? I mean, it's okay if they are, but I'm just curious sometimes.
I don't know. Probably on behalf of others. I actually have a bot running on my Mastodon that will annoy me. It will say, hey, you just posted something without alt text.
Although that's now a Mastodon policy.
Is it a yeah? Well, no, it's a policy, but I actually
you implemented it on yours.
Yeah. This is for free on WhatsApp, the Aya Vision. OpenAI's ChatGPT 4.5 Orion. This is the one with emotional intelligence. I think we lost Richard. He'll come back in a minute, I'm sure. There he is.
There he is.
Little blip on the
I'm back
on the internet. This is the one with emotional intelligence. Not as smart, though, right? Isn't it always that way in life?
Appreciate the quotes around it, at least.
Quote, emotional intelligence. Sonnet 3.7 from Anthropic. The hybrid reasoning model, because it can both fire off quick answers and really think things through.
Isn't this kind of like phones? They're not that different from each other.
Yeah.
I think people who use it a lot. I was asking Darren Oki this because Darren uses AI to automate a lot of his sysadmin stuff. He has it write Z shell and Python and stuff. And so I asked him, well, what model are you using? He said, well, right now, what did he say? I think he said, what is it you're using, Darren, right now? I think he said the new Gemini. But of course, for a long time, code was best with Sonnet 3.7.
Well, the Microsoft folks have been asking what they're using, and it's been Sonnet 3.7.
Yeah. He says Gemini, the new Gemini. Also new Grok 3, of course, from XAI, the one that he bought 100,000 H100 NVIDIA cards, and he's going to buy another 100,000. It's $50 because you have to buy an X premium account. I have one. I have not found Grok to be that good. After one study found Grok 2 to be left-leaning, Elon pledged to shift it more neutral.
Neutral.
All I know is I see people generating some pretty nasty memes with Elon and the president, so I don't know how neutral it is. O3 Mini, the reasoning model for STEM. Deep Research, another one of these, thinking models. Mistral's Le Chat, which is very confusing because Mistral's French and it should be Le Chat, but then that would be the cat, and so it's Le Chat. Tests from Le Monde found Le Chat's performance impressive, although it smells of elderberries. OpenAI operator is meant to be a personal intern. Has anybody tried that?
No.
You have to pay $200 a month for it. Yeah. I really want to have something like that. As you know, that's why I wear this bee all the time. A Washington Post reviewer tried it. Says operator decided on its own to order a dozen eggs for $31 and paid with his credit card, with the reviewer's credit card. Thanks, operator. Hey, you're paying $200 a month for me. You can afford a $31 box of eggs.
Hey, that's a pretty good test, actually. When would you allow AI to have your credit card?
Buy something.
Well, I'm old enough to remember when people said, no, nobody's ever going to buy anything on the internet, especially not expensive things. No.
Are you ever going to authorize an AI to buy stuff for you?
To spend your money?
Yeah.
I think at some point
This is Jeffrey Fowler. This is from last month. I missed this story. He said he asked it to find cheap eggs in his neighborhood. In under 10 minutes, operator bought a dozen eggs and paid a human to deliver it to my house all on its own.
Hey, ask the AI for the tip. It's not up to me.
This is the pay-per-click scenario, right? Because it said find cheap eggs. He said find cheap eggs. And the AI said, yes, and I will buy them and deliver them to you because you told me to. Would you like some paper clips with that?
Yeah, make some cheap paper clips.
Yeah. $31.43. He says, I was a little frazzled when I realized what had happened. A bad AI decision had cost me real money.
I want to be there when he hands in the expense account.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's
research.
Jeff Bezos can afford it.
Remember the whole reason Amazon made the voice devices was so people would order with their voice, and they didn't do that either.
I did it. All the time I did it. I'd be shaving and I say, hey, A-word, buy me some shaving cream. I'm out. And it would say, what's your PIN number? And I'd tell it and I'd get shaving cream the next day. It's a great thing.
Well, now
incidentally, Jeff, you'll be proud of me. Look at my Washington Post page. It says, hey, your access ends on December 28th, 2025. You want to resubscribe? No, thank you.
Yeah, you know what? Mine looks exactly the same, Leo.
That's because you're in Canada.
Yeah, no, I canceled my subscription too.
Yeah,
I couldn't till the end of the year.
I was so angry. Yeah, but I had bought a year.
I'm subscribing because I need to.
I went and spent it on the information instead, which is more
very
expensive.
Good. Well, you had that got you what, 2 days worth?
$400 a year for the information. I can't remember
my subscription price a little bit.
It's worth, you know what? It's worth it.
Amazon's got to save the money because they're going to buy.
It doesn't seem like a good time to be reading news from America anyway.
All right, let's talk about TikTok. I won't go through all of the other AI models. We did all the ones for this year.
The models are boring.
Good. I think it's fun to learn what's new and different and exciting in the world.
It's like the new LeSabre. It has heated seats.
It's got fins.
Yeah, you know.
Chrome on the front. Imagine that. TikTok, yes. The deadline is sneaking up any day now. I can't remember. What is the deadline? Do you remember?
Matter. It's deadline.
9 days off, something like that. That's, remember what previously on the TikTok saga, the United States Congress passed a law banning TikTok, saying they had to be sold by January 19th, 2025, or shut down operations in the United States. As that date approached, Apple and Google both removed TikTok from their store, but then the president issued I don't know what you call it, a memorandum, a note, an executive order saying, not so fast. A fiat, a decree, a papal, what do they call that? When the Pope does it? A papal something.
It's not a nuncio, that's something else.
Decree?
No, come on, chat room, you can help me. You know, a papal.
A bull. It's a papal bull.
A bull, thank you. I like that word. I love that.
It is nice, yeah.
A papal bull from the president.
Martin Luther burned the one to him.
Saying, oh, you got 75 days. We'll figure it out. Apple and Google said, you sure, really? Because the fines are big. And then, weirdly, they got a note from Pam Bondi who said, go ahead. So they put it back in the store, which is weird. But Pam Bondi is the attorney general. But anyway, the deadline now approacheth. The president put the vice president in charge, which even as I say, it sounds funny, of finding a buyer. So you mentioned, and I think this is interesting, that there are a number of people popped up, including Oracle, Amazon, Anthropic. I'm sorry, not Anthropic. Perplexity. Thank you. And you asked, whoever heard of this app? What is it?
There's one more. There's one more, Leo.
Oh, who else?
Andreessen Horowitz.
Now, and then we didn't even mention the bid from the guy I got $20 billion right here. I'm willing to write you a check today. The guy who owned the LA Dodgers. Anyway, who's what? Huh? Frank McCourt. Thank you. Yeah. Who's the inside track? Frank McCourt.
Trump is, who knows? Trump, there's already is one. We don't know it. Trump's meeting with them
now, today.
Weekend. Well, today. Okay.
Was it this weekend? I thought it was today.
I don't know.
So Amazon has the money. Last minute offer, according to 3 people familiar with the talks. This is from the New York Times. The deadline is Saturday. That's why they have to resolve this.
But who knows whether China's going to sell?
Well, and who knows whether anything's going to happen Sunday?
Yeah.
The bid came from an author via an offer letter addressed to J.D. Vance from Howard Lutnick, the commerce. Oh, and Howard Lutnick. I thought they were cars. It was on, you might have seen it on Signal. I don't know. The commerce secretary, Amazon's bid highlights the 11th hour maneuvering in Washington over TikTok's ownerships. Right. Who knows if China's going to sell, except China doesn't own TikTok, Jab.
Well, China can say yay or nay.
They've already said, we're not selling the algorithm. Whatever you get, it won't be the algorithm. You just get the users.
Meanwhile, did you see the new TikTok on Blue Sky? Backed by Mark Cuban.
What?
Yes, hold on a second. It's pretty good.
It's on Blue Sky?
It's written on the AT protocol.
Oh, that's interesting. Up to now, no one has really done much with this so-called federated protocol.
So this is the first one, and Cuban backed it. It's called, oh hell, where is it?
Skylight.
Skylight, thank you.
Skylight, not to be confused with the many other attempts. Didn't
No,
McHugh?
there's not been many. This one is very much like it. Now, whether the algorithm's there or not, I don't know. But
well, it's not the algorithm that you need; it's the people.
it's the bit. It has some stuff here. Some people are putting up.
So,
things
is it an app?
It's an app. Yep, and you have to use your Blue Sky sign-in, whatever that is.
Oh, I like that.
And
So it's built on the federated protocol.
yeah, on AT. And Cuban said, if somebody does this, I'll back it. And a young woman said, I will, and he did.
Tori White is the CEO. Reed Harmeyer, the CTO. It's built on the AT protocol. Videos posted on Skylight can be seen and engaged with by users on Blue Sky. Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk to Mike McHugh, there's going to be other places, these protocols, you're going to be able to get things, which is going to be a big advantage, I think.
This is, when, and we've talked about this, Blue Sky was originally funded by Twitter, by Jack Dorsey, as a kind of a side project to create an open federated version of Twitter. Then Dorsey left Twitter, but the $15 million funding had already happened. Blue Sky got launched. It's very much like Twitter. It's kind of like the old Twitter experience with some nice features, but it's based on a protocol that could, in theory, just like Mastodon, spawn a number of instances that would all be seen by one another. That never happened. What's interesting is, even though that was the premise, what ended up happening with Blue Sky is there have been all of these kind of non-Twitter-like iterations like this. There's something called Flashes, which is a photo app, kind of an Instagram clone. I think that's kind of interesting.
It really is.
It's not how I thought it would happen. All right, I'm going to download it. Skylight, huh?
Yeah, just sign in with your Blue Sky, and you're in.
Darren on in Discord makes a good point about how TikTok had copyrighted music. They had a deal with all the record companies, and these guys won't have that.
Oh, that's a big difference. In fact, that really was when TikTok took off, was when they bought Musical.ly,
right? Which
was a site where people were lip syncing, brought all those people over, and then said, and by the way, use music. My son uses all sorts of copyrighted music in his TikToks. But you can do that on Instagram too, I notice, right?
Well, they probably brokered a deal with the record labels too.
Yeah. There are so many Skylights, I can't find. Is it in a test flight or is it available?
Oh, doesn't that story tell you where to get it? Hold on.
That story. I don't read no stories. Skylight Social. It must be a test flight because I don't see it on here. So let's see. I'd be open to a replacement. I actually have deleted TikTok, DeepSeek, all the Chinese apps. I've deleted Instagram because I kept buying stuff in the middle of the night. But I kept Blue Sky. I thought, well, I'll have one social network. And Reddit is kind of a social network. I find Reddit very valuable.
I don't know.
I'm looking at the TechCrunch story. The app is in beta on the Google Play Store.
If you go to skylight.social.
Oh, okay. So I can go here.
Get in, loser. We're decentralizing.
Is that what they're saying?
That's a direct. That's the unbannable short form video platform.
It does. It literally says "get in, loser."
Yeah, I don't know.
Why would you call your prospective customers losers?
I don't get the joke, but fine.
Get in, loser. It must be. You know what? I'll have to ask Taylor Lawrence.
It's got to be a reference to something.
Yeah. Oh, there's a Mac version of it.
Mm-hmm. I've got the Android, obviously.
Yeah. Well, actually, the Mac version will be kind of nice.
Hey,
then I can
nice.
show people stuff. No, I mean for us, for the show, I can put it on screen. It looks like it says follow your favorite creators, and it has a picture of the Beatles. Are the Beatles back? Oh, it's just George and Ringo.
Only in AI.
Oh, maybe it's the AI version. All right. Well, good. All right. That's and this is who's put money in on this?
Mark Cuban.
He's turned out to become the
surprisingly good guy.
Surprising good guy.
Where's the story here?
LeoLaporte.me. That's my my handle on Blue Sky. Okay, well, I'll sign up for it while you. Let's do another story while I'm wasting people's time signing up for this.
I picked the last one, Richard. You can pick one.
Richard, do you see the list, the rundown? I know we enlisted you at the last minute.
Richard's in the rundown.
All right, copying my password. Whew. Signing in, wrong identifier or password.
I used my email address for the identifier.
Okay, so this show is ground to a halt.
All right,
let me find another story real quick. Oh wait a minute, here I finally am in. I'm in, man. As the hackers say in the movies, I'm in. And there's a picture of Joe Biden and Zelensky. That's not Joe Biden.
No,
who is that? That's somebody else. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre. Okay, well this is not TikTok.
Well,
is
you're
there going to be another one?
You have to.
How do I swipe? Oh, there we go. Stitch incoming. Mark Cuban video.
Oh, let's
wait a
listen
minute.
to this.
This is a TikTok though. See that?
Well, so people are copying them over because you can do that. But let's listen to it.
You want to listen to
I want
it?
to hear Cuban. Yeah.
Remember this Mark Cuban video?
So I appreciate everybody reaching out to me to try to come up with a TikTok alternative. I would be open to investing and supporting anybody or somebody who creates a TikTok replacement built on the 8T protocol.
If you've been following along, you know that
my bestie Reed and I
Skylight Social. That's awesome.
You didn't cut her. Here's the woman doing it. You cut her off.
Well, what is she going to say?
She's the one doing it. She's the one doing it. She's
the guy. Yeah. She's the. Oh, never mind. All right, let me. I apologize. I thought she was just some rando.
You're just the worst scroller there is. Oh my God, you're terrible at it.
Do you guys remember this?
So she's not just some rando. She's actually the one who wrote this.
Yes,
Tori. This is Tori. Well, I want to follow her. How do you add people?
Well, listen to her first.
Well, we already heard that.
You didn't hear her. You cut her off again. Jeez.
Got a ton of new users onto Skylight Social today, so I just wanted to hop on and say hello and welcome to Skylight.
She's adorbs.
I've been building this unbannable TikTok for the last 2.5 months.
Unbannable TikTok.
We are so excited and grateful that you're here.
I'm in.
Fun things to know about Skylight off the bat. You can double tap the screen to like. If you hold down on the left or right side of the screen, the video will play in 2x speed. And you can put links anywhere. So you can put a link in your bio, you could put a link in the video description, or you can even put a link in the comments. That way, if you wanted to post, let's say, a little snippet of a podcast, you could link to the podcast right in the description.
Thank you, Tori.
What you're seeing on the app is truly just the beginning. Reed and I are going to continue to build every single day. And we'll continue to update you as well via this page, buildwithtori.com. So drop a comment, say hi. I can't.
It feels like just a normal person.
If you're a content creator and you upload a video,
doing something nice
you can link to that video in the comments too, so that I can check it out.
I am rooting for this. Nice job, Tori.
So I can find her. What's her username?
Tori, Tori.
I'm searching Skylight.
Well, it's the very first thing that came up, so maybe you've followed too many people. Oh, she's got a lot of posts.
She's been testing for a long time.
Yeah. Look at all these. She incorporated.
It's a public benefit. It's a public benefit corporation.
Oh God, please.
Isn't this beautiful?
So buildwithtori.com.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
And I'm going to follow her. There's also a link to her Blue Sky, which is nice. So you can also do that. Buildwithtori.com on Blue Sky. This is fantastic.
It's AT finally federating.
Yeah. 55,000 users in its first 24 hours. That's pretty impressive, I would say. Yeah. Wow, you've actually brought us a story I care about.
Hey.
They built it in 10 weeks.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Sorry you have to be here for this, Richard.
Yeah, I know it's hard.
We're just like a bickering old couple.
Paul was shocked. Just shocked. This is how you treat each other?
So I do hope that, first of all, I hope Torrey and Reed succeed and that Skylight becomes the next TikTok. Yeah. And I will tell you right now, we'll start putting our videos on this, not TikTok, Skylight, but on this. Okay.
Yeah.
Should we try to get them on the show?
Yes, absolutely. And at this point, that makes me hope that nobody buys TikTok, especially not Mark Andreessen.
Yeah, this scares me. It really does.
The Conehead should not own TikTok. I think it's wrong. It would be as bad as
his latest pronouncement is that we should kill universities.
Yeah. Yeah, and they never liked it, even though he made his name at the University of Illinois Champaign, Urbana. I mean, that's where he wrote Mosaic and made his money. So
No, he built himself. He's all self-made, Leo.
Oh yeah, he's all self-made, right? No university helped him.
No help at all. He didn't drive no roads or anything.
To work on.
Pulled himself up by his own bootlaces. So he would be one. You know what? This is Musk envy.
Yes.
Mark looks at Elon and how it's worked out for him with X and says, okay, I'm going to take TikTok. But remember that X has become a cesspool of right-wing blather and propaganda, and most importantly, disinformation and misinformation.
And Andreessen's jealous of that too. The funny thing is, Andreessen blocked almost everybody on Earth. I was blocked ages ago. I don't know what I did. Everybody was blocked by Andreessen. He blocked. Then suddenly, of course, Musk killed the blocking feature and said, "Oh, everybody can read Andreessen." Like, who care?
Who cares?
I don't care.
You can't block Elon. That's the real problem. So today, the president is holding a meeting with aides about possible investors who could buy a stake. So this is from the AP. Details of the meeting were confirmed by a person familiar with the situation who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss internal deliberations, but didn't tell us much at all except that there is a meeting going on. Among possible investors, Oracle and the investment firm Blackstone. Got to add Andreessen Horowitz. Got to add Frank McCourt. Got to add App Annie. What was it? What was the one? Not App Annie.
That's the pretzel place.
Pretzel Annie's. No. If Pretzel Annie's bought TikTok,
yay!
I might change my tune.
Yeah.
Amazon. Do you see the Amazon? This is very bizarre. Amazon. Well, actually, before we get to that, let's take a little break. You're watching Intelligent Machines, Jeff Jarvis, and very kindly, Richard Campbell, who's wondering what the hell he's agreed to. Host of Windows Weekly, Run His Radio, who's joining us this week, filling in for Paris Martineau, who will be back next week. It's nice to have you, Richard. Do you have a cat or anything in the hotel room with you that you'd like to? No.
Not a thing.
Paris
Not even a bottle of whiskey.
For her cat, Gizmo. Amazon. Okay, on with the show. Amazon is planning to release 14 movies a year into theaters.
Yeah. Well, it thinks it's Hollywood.
And then wait 45 days before it goes on to streaming.
Everything old is new again.
This is unaccountable.
Yeah.
They're going to spend billions of dollars for producing these movies. Right? Movies are very expensive these days. They've got a stream of A-list stars: Ryan Gosling, Ben Affleck, Chris Hemsworth, because all of these guys will go anywhere there's money. Anybody will write a check. MGM Studios, they bought, remember, so it's going to be Amazon MGM releasing 14 big, broad commercial films a year to theaters nationwide. And then, much later, they'll release it. And, you know, this is I'm thinking about this now. This is an appeal to Hollywood, to directors and movie stars who hate it that their movies go direct to streaming. Yep. Their egos and the Academy Awards.
Do you think that's what the cause of this is, though?
Yes. This is how you get the big names to sign up. And you still get them for streaming. You just get it later.
Yeah.
on Prime Video.
Well, you always get it for streaming eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. The movie theaters are going to go for short runs.
For years, the company's released, this is the New York Times again, 5 to 8 films theatrically, but it was never clear how long they'd stay in theaters before going to Prime Video. Air, starring Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, received a 37-day exclusive theatrical release. Red One, with Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans, hit Prime just weeks after it debuted. Now Amazon is committing to 45 days in the theater before hitting pay-per-view first and then Prime. There's a financial stake because box office is often tied to compensation for the directors and stars. There's an ego thing because, you get your name on a big marquee outside of a theater. There's also the Academy Awards, which prefer theatrical releases.
The question is 6 weeks enough to make any money?
Right.
Well, the thing is, Richard, I wonder, for most movies, I think they don't last that long now.
Yeah, that's really the fact that the weekend takes drop dramatically pretty quickly.
Fast now.
So you're talking
there's no such
weekends.
thing as DVD sales anymore. DVD sales are gone.
There is no DVD.
There's no more post-life
what's theaters, streaming?
What's a DVD, Uncle Benito? I think I've heard of it.
It's like a VHS tape, only different.
Oh, okay. Is that Sony or is that...
But that used to be
really interesting.
The main source of revenue, actually, for most studios is after theatrical release was selling.
And global sales, global DVD sales and global release.
Ain't it amazing how things change?
Well, and the real question is, will there be any movie theaters for Amazon to release these movies into?
Yeah.
Theater owners say they hope Amazon will fix one of the major problems plaguing their business, the scarcity of wide release movies. Have you looked? I just walked by our local theater and looked at all the posters. They're all horror movies.
Yeah.
Scary sci-fi. I guess they probably reflect the kind of the national,
No, it's the same thing that's happening in TV. It's post-mass.
Right.
You're not going to get, a real blockbuster anymore. And so broadcast TV has been crap for a long time. Streaming is going crap, and movie theaters are crap.
Well, we shall watch to see how.
What was the last movie each of you saw?
In the theater?
Yeah. Was it Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer. Yeah. And that was because I wanted to see it in IMAX.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one in 5 years.
I'm very happy to watch them at home.
Yeah.
More and more people have broadband, big screen TVs, surround sound systems. I have theatrical seating.
Yeah, but I'm with you, Leo. There's some films you want to see on IMAX, or you see it in your home theater, or I watch it on an airplane. Like, it definitely.
Yeah, there's some airplane's fine.
I'll wait for airplane on that one.
You fly enough that you need to save some for the airplane.
Absolutely.
The Brutalist was a good example. I really wanted to see this film, but there was no way I was going to go see a 3-hour, 20-minute movie in a theater. I'm not going to sit in a theater for and there was a required 15-minute intermission. I mean, it sounded like hell. Very comfortably watched it over 2 nights in my home. And I loved it. It was a great movie.
We've lost the 90-minute broad comedy, and that's the best theatrical experience. Like watching Austin Powers in the theater.
With other people laughing.
Exactly,
Paul was talking about this earlier on Windows Weekly about Spaceballs.
Oh, God, yes.
Was it you who saw it in the theater with No, it was Paul who saw it, right?
Yeah.
And just everybody... It's a communal experience.
Well, here's the question. Now that you have the big cushy seats and the delivery of food and all, there's fewer people there. Yeah, it's different.
Plus the teenagers, kids these days have no social graces. They talk, they throw popcorn, they laugh at my clothes. I don't like it.
And to Anthony's point, like there are new rom-coms, right? Like Anyone But You, Sydney Sweeney, like that's
but they're all on stream. They all go straight to streaming. Don't they?
That one I saw on an airplane, but I get
you. Straight to airplanes.
I fear for the multiplex with 12 theaters because they end up running 4 movies, 3 each in a theater, so you can watch one every hour.
Yeah.
So
actually, my screen at home is bigger than the smallest screen at the multiplex.
Nice. But I think what's interesting about this? Amazon is at least trying something.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I love movies. I think movies are one of the greatest creative creations of humanity.
Yeah. But I tell you, many of the the Mandalorian and Andor, like the miniseries is back in that format. That there are stories that take 12 hours to tell, and you need to binge them over several days.
Do you think those are better than the movies?
I think the Mandalorian, with the new equipment that Favreau developed, really changed the game. Where now
the volume,
for TV price, they're able to do those great special effects.
Yeah. And there's certainly stories that you can't tell in 2 hours.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, give us a worthy story, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but TV went whack with. I was the TV critic at People during the Mondo miniseries period.
Yeah,
and they were stretched. The worst torture I ever endured was AD, 14 hours. Oh my! And I had an ethical view that I would not fast forward.
Of course, you're literally a professional. How can you? Right?
Exactly.
What was Richard Chamberlain? We just lost him, but he did one of the original miniseries. Was it Shogun or
there was Thornbirds first, and then Shogun. He was in both.
Shogun, but those were big stories.
Thornbirds was huge.
Oh, yeah. The Holocaust was amazing. I mean, there were
Roots. Roots was probably the most watched TV show of all time until recently. Band of Brothers, great show.
But compare that to Saving Private Ryan, which they're basically derivative of each other. Band of Brothers, I mean, Saving Private Ryan won awards for a reason. It's still Spielberg. But Band of Brothers told a deeper story.
That was the difference. You have the time to take your time and tell the deeper story.
And the characters. And
Yeah. I've become a fan of the miniseries.
Altogether.
They're different mediums.
Yeah.
They really are.
A different story to tell.
The thing I've said all along, and nobody ever pays attention to this, and I hope that this gets memorialized somewhere so that people can look back and say, Leo was right, is that really the first VR and the best VR to this day remains a movie theater. A darkened theater, screen that fills your vision, music that is big and fills the room and invokes emotions. And if you're watching a great movie, you forget that you are in a theater. You are in the film. That is real VR
those
to me.
Sticky floors, man. That's the best part.
Well, and the kids move so fast on the stairs, I'm afraid they're going to bowl me over every time.
Well, I'm trying to tell you,
that's the original virtual experience.
I missed
popcorn. It is, isn't it? It's VR.
Totally.
And it's much better VR than putting a thing on your face.
Yeah.
And it's so much better. It's real.
I missed popcorn badly. I haven't done it, so I went to the theater and I said, can I just take a small and take it out? $8.
Yeah.
$8 they charge for the popcorn.
$8.
I just put popcorn in my purse and I have some Smarties in my pocket and I'm set. I don't buy the theater popcorn.
But I mean, that is another thing. Like take a family out to the movies, it's like $100.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
I know. Lisa yells at me because I look, nowadays when you want to watch a recent film on iTunes or whatever your streaming platform is, it's like $20, $30 to buy it. And I go, I can't buy. Lisa goes, it would cost us twice as much to go see it in the theater. What are you, crazy? Just buy the damn movie. And I go,
pop some popcorn.
Popcorn's much better at home. I make an excellent popcorn. But you don't get the warm milk duds in the home.
The warm milk duds bounced off your head from the guy 5 rows behind you. Yeah, that one? Okay, that's excellent.
You teenagers, knock it off!
So in 1948, the critic Irving Howe said that mass culture must provide amusement without insight and pleasure without disturbance, as distinct from art which gives pleasure through disturbance. In 1948, he called the movie theater, quote, a dark cavern, a neutral womb. That is one of the few places that provides a poor man with a kind of retreat. Here, at last, he does not have to acknowledge his irritating self.
Good Lord.
That's beautiful. And air conditioning.
Critics.
Purple prose.
Yeah.
1948? Yeah, they probably did have air conditioning then.
Yeah, the theater would, but home wouldn't.
Homes did.
You went to the movie.
Signs. Come in, it's cold inside.
Yeah, because they had, otherwise the projectors burned up.
Yeah.
If you miss the Scooter X changelog, and I know many of you do, stay tuned.
Have you been hearing it? People have been calling?
No. Not one. But if you do, and I know there's somebody out there who does, somebody just said, I'm unsubscribing. This has become a curmudgeon fest. Well, we'll return with Curmudgeon Fest, more of Curmudgeon Fest in just a moment. You're watching Intelligent Machines with a couple of intelligent guys, Mr. Richard Campbell from Run His Radio, and of course our very own Windows Weekly, and Professor Jeff Jarvis from jeffjarvis.com. Great to have you both.
That quote, by the way, was from the Gutenberg parenthesis. Just want to throw that in.
Say that again. What was the quote?
Quote I just read was from the
40s
Gutenberg parenthesis. Yes.
Nice. So you bring up these classic.
I find these things. They're in my head still.
Gems.
Anything to sell the book. Out now in paperback. But go ahead.
Yes. Affordably priced. Less than a dozen eggs.
Home delivered, even.
From the Scooter X changelog, get ready. Coachella 2025 live only on YouTube. It's coming not so long from now, 9 days away. 6, count them, 6 concurrent live streamed stages on YouTube.
And how much are they charging for that?
Plus a vertical live stream. How to watch? You got to go to the official Coachella YouTube channel. Do they charge for that? I don't think so. If, of course, you get a lot of ads if you don't pay for YouTube Premium. Sponsored by Colgate Optic White, Jimmy John's, and NYX Professional Makeup in the U.S.
Well, that answers it.
Plus Spark Now, New Zealand, NYX Professional Makeup in Canada. Weekend 2 turns back the following Friday, April 18th at the same time. Sponsored by NYX Professional Makeup. Ryan Coogler's Sinners, just out from Warner Brothers, and T-Mobile in the U.S., Spark New Zealand, and NYX Professional Makeup in Canada. So I guess you don't really have to pay for it because they have. I shouldn't knock it. If I would, I wish we had Colgate. I would gladly do an ad for Colgate Optic White. Ding. Do you guys go to Coachella?
No,
would you go to Coachella? You don't have to.
After
now.
Burning Man, I'm too tired.
I know, it's so exhausting. All that dancing around naked. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, YouTube is really kind of hip with the youngs.
I think they're trying.
Yeah.
Because the youngs went to TikTok.
Oh, well, okay, get ready for this, because not only are there these 6 vertical streams, there will be horizontal streams. There will be a vertical live stream for those of you watching on your phone.
Perfect.
As you can't hold it sideways.
This is actually for the olds because the youngs are there.
Yeah. The youngs are actually at the event.
This is for the olds who know like 1 or 2 artists who want to see them. You know?
Right. Yeah. Is Elvis going to be playing Coachella this year? Amazon's Nova Pro. Try it for free. Built on Amazon Bedrock. This is, I guess, Amazon says, hey, we can do this. We can do AI. We got it. We got it right here. It's got image generation. Let's see if I can, draw Disaster Girl. Let's try it. Let's see if it's as good. In the style of, who should I do? I'll do Disney. Let's see. Let's do an apples to apps. Oh, cannot process that request. It goes against Amazon's content.
Yeah, it wouldn't let me draw Gutenberg.
What?
Yeah.
Are they worried about the Gutenberg estate?
I guess so.
It's been dead 500 years.
What the hell? Oh, I can't do that. Draw a shirt with a pattern of a variety of dog breeds. Let's see if it matches my fine shirt. Okay, it's just as slow, I have to say, as OpenAI. Oh, that's cute. Yeah. That's cute.
But don't wear it, Leo.
Well, I like the one I got. Yeah, by the way, I've ordered some new shirts from the same source, including, I'm excited, and I will wear it on the next IM, elote. Ears of corn. You like my avocado shirt, Jeff? Yeah. Well, you see elote.
Street corn or raw?
No, just ears of fresh corn.
Fresh corn.
No mayonnaise.
There was one that was cherry tomatoes, and I did not get that one. But I did buy succulents, so you'll be glad about that. All right, I think we're running low on stories here. Perplexity AI, which is my favorite AI, some are saying is disintegrating behind the scenes. I do not feel that is true.
I don't feel it's true either. There was one report that they were running short on money, and so then they felt they had to come out and respond to it. So then that makes it a story.
And when I go to Perplexity, the choice of models has changed a little bit. I used to have a broader variety. Now I have Auto, Pro, I'm a paid user, by the way. Deep Research, Reasoning with R1, Reasoning with O3 Mini, and Gemini 2.0. AI, XAI is gone. It used to be, Grok 2 used to be there. And they favor kind of their own models. And that, I think, was what also led to this story, or the story. This from Futurism. Perplexity AI CEO denies rumors. Our goal isn't to save money and scam you in any way. I really like Perplexity. The original trash-talking post from Nothing Ever Happened alleged, per a campus strategist, they know that Perplexity had paused all funding for marketing and partnerships. They also claimed the wannabe Google competitor is going public on the stock market, a move they wagered would only happen if Perplexity needed a massive cash injection. I think this is all just...
It's Reddit. It's lies.
Yeah. I think Perplexity's very good. You know, I've been playing with, thanks to Darren Oki in our Discord, the idea of local AIs. You know, I had an Llama installed, and I've been trying some of the newer models. And I have to say, the local AIs leave a little bit to be desired. If I ask Perplexity, as I did, I said, tell me, what do you know about the Twit Podcast Network? It pretty much nailed it. Let me make this text bigger so you can see it. I don't know how to do that. Maybe I can't. Oh, yeah, there it is. Font. Let's choose a giant font. And it's not changing. Okay. I'll have to read this to you. So I tried a few others. Google's Gemma, which is that small one designed for phones. Gemma 3, brand new, 27 billion token version. I said the same question. What do you know about the Twit Podcast Network? It told me some interesting things. For instance, that the Tech Guy show was hosted by a guy, not me, but by a guy, a listener call-in show hosted by Kurt Knappenberger. Then I said, well, who's Kurt Knappenberger? It said Kurt Knappenberger is a prominent figure on the Twit Podcast Network, best known as the host of the Tech Guy. So I looked up Kurt Knappenberger. As far as I could tell, there's only one. He's a 71-year-old orthopedic surgeon in Topeka, Kansas. And as far as I know, he never hosted the Tech Guy show. It says he's been with the Twit Network for and it emphasizes very long time, becoming a consistent and reliable presence. He's one of the few original hosts who remains with the network. This is Gemma, locally. Then I asked Llama 3.2, do you have any information about the Twit Podcast Network? They said the Twit Podcast Network is a network of podcasts hosted by Markiplier.
Huh? Is that Markiplier, the YouTuber?
Yes. You know Markiplier?
I've seen his videos, yeah.
It says Markiplier launched the network in 2019.
That seems unlikely.
Jeez, have you been bought? We didn't know it?
Markiplier aims to create a space where creators can come together, share ideas, and support each other. The network features a diverse range of podcasts, including comedy, news, interviews, and storytelling. Some popular podcasts on the network include the Twit Podcast with Markiplier, Comedy Goldmine, and The Rewatchables. All shows I wish I were doing.
What the hell?
That's Llama. So it is the case that you can often get hallucinations or mistakes or just crap from these.
If you just swap the names out to Leo Laporte, it wasn't. I think
that it's actually true. Whoever this other guy is, Kurt Knappenberger, everything except for the name worked. Right? He's a longtime tech enthusiast, self-described helpful geek. Many listeners describe him as, genuinely kind and approachable person. I think they're talking about Kurt Knappenberger.
Where did it come from, though? Like, where did the name come from?
Well, that's what's weird, because I thought, must be Markiplier. I understand, because there's a YouTube guy. So, yeah. But this guy is an orthopedic surgeon in Topeka. Anyway, Mark, Kurt, if you're a listener, I love you. Appreciate all that you've done for the Twit network. It says he's been a reliable presence on Twit for years, building a loyal following.
Well, I appreciate all his efforts.
I appreciate the efforts. Meanwhile, Perplexity gets it right, because I think Perplexity's connected. It's not a local model running locally. It's connected to the outside world.
Yeah, something tells me this isn't the right application for local models.
No. Nothing current, although we have been around for 20 years. Anyway, Kurt, give me a ring. I think we need to hire you.
Or you can buy Twit. That could be the other thing to do.
Darren had Olama run Mistral and asked the same question. He says, as of Mistral, the French Le Chat, says, as of my latest update in October 2023, I don't have any specific information about the Twit podcasting network. It could be a new or niche entity that hasn't gained widespread recognition yet.
Well, someday you'll make it.
Someday, I hope. Yes, I love all of Kurt Knappenberger's episodes as well. All right, one last break, and then we're going to wrap things up.
One story you might enjoy.
Oh, yes, please. I'm sorry. Usually I give you a chance.
Just one. Yep. Line 91.
Yep. Okay.
It's an AI story.
Well, that's good, because this is intelligent machines. A recent conversation.
This is
accent. Crisp AI accent conversion.
So this is kind of like, so it takes Indian and Filipino. I'm curious what.
And makes them sound like they're American.
Yep. So if you go below, there's a demo there. You can scroll down and you'll get the demo.
Because this is true that I often get customer service. I was calling Chase Bank. They blocked my account. I called once. I got somebody with a Hispanic accent. I called and they couldn't help me. They said, you have to call again in 5 to 10 minutes.
Have experienced this issue?
So then I called again and I got somebody with an American accent. And then I called a third time because it didn't work that time either. And I got somebody with an Indian accent. So I think they actually were outsourcing these to all over the world.
Sure.
But they were funny because they were all named Chad, which, yeah. So experience the magic of AI accent conversion.
Wow.
So let me try. This is the Indian English accent.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ishika, and I'm a call center agent from India. Clear communication is vital for my customers and me, but accent barriers can sometimes make it challenging. That's where crisp accent conversion comes in. Let me show you the voice preservation mode in action.
So now
this mode keeps my original voice intact while softening the challenging parts of my accent. It helps customers understand me better.
And it makes me sound like a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Improving satisfaction on both sides of the call.
All right, here's Filipino.
Hello, my name is Manoj, and I'm a call center agent from India.
Wait a minute. Oh, that was another Indian. Here's a Filipino. Okay.
Hello, my name is Hannah, and I'm a call center agent from the Philippines. Clear communication is vital for my customers and me, but accent...
All right, let's hear the translation.
This mode keeps my original voice intact while softening challenging parts of my accent.
It's interesting they said softening because it doesn't eliminate it.
No, it doesn't.
Which is fine. I mean, I don't mind the accent as long as I can understand somebody. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. But I think probably a lot of Americans might.
Well, they don't. I mean, we're not that far from full voice replacement anyway. So
yeah, that we're not going to be talking to humans much soon.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. We can fully bot this.
Yeah.
This almost seems like a product made to keep those call centers still running before the software takes over.
There you go. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
He's
That's
exactly
what the
right.
point is.
That's the plan. Like, this is the software in between software, between AI taking over and now.
Yeah. The remote data center thing happened because of all that cable, that fiber that was laid during the dot-com boom that all went bankrupt and was bought at 10 cents on the dollar.
It's very cheap to have somebody calling from
because
anywhere in the
wire
world.
cost became irrelevant.
Yeah.
But what's really cheap? GPUs in your closet.
Do you think Kat Obogazala will become a member of Congress? She's a YouTuber.
Yeah, it's barely a story for us, but she is a YouTuber.
She's running for Congress.
She's running, yep. So that's where
I'm
the
gonna
next
vote for her.
generation can come from.
She's 26. She lives in the north side of Chicago. She's challenging an incumbent Democrat, though, because Chicago's pretty blue.
Very incumbent.
Oh.
Been there a long time.
Their representative has been there since she was born. Bukazela was born 1999 and has not lost an election since. Well, I think we should get more younger. Look at AOC. Totally. I think it's good to get more younger people.
Mallory McMorrow announced for Senate today. I think she's amazing.
Good. When the young people, you need to take over. Enough curmudgeons.
Either that, Richard, or you, please, would you let us hide in your basement?
My goodness, I can't tell you how many emails I have.
Really, friends who say, "Hey, Rich."
Yeah. So how hard is it to immigrate, actually?
I think all I need is a Canadian sponsor.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Now, I've gotten into the habit over every election of just having the documents handy so I can just cut and paste because I get a lot of them.
Pretty much
just
impossible.
Between you and me, Jeff, even better than Canada, Rich has family in New Zealand.
That's true. Yeah, I've got both passports.
Whoa.
New Zealand.
Whoa. And pretty soon Canada's going to be part of the EU. So that gets you into a lot.
There you go.
Is that what's going to happen?
There is half joking speculation.
Canada is part of NATO.
Yeah, so is most of the EU.
Yeah, so is Greenland. Hint, hint. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to move to Canada. It might be a dangerous place to live, especially on the border where you are, Richard.
Yeah. Well,
no,
they got to take a ferry to get to me.
This is all fantasy. This is fantasy land. This is pay no attention to the tax cut land. All right, we're going to take a little break and final, unless you guys have a story you want to do, final words coming up. You're watching Intelligent Machines with the curmudgeonly trio of Richard Campbell, Jeff Jarvis, and me. I'm
Who
Leo
you calling
Laporte.
Curmudgeonly?
Begging you young people to slow down on the stairs. I'm walking here. All right. Picks of the week. We like to do this at the end of every show. Usually at the end of Winners Weekly, Mr. Campbell picks a lovely whiskey. He had a good one this week. Highland Park.
Did the Highland Park? Yeah.
Looked quite good. Little touch of peat. Touch of peat. But, and I will let you think if you want to do something while Jeff tells us his picks of the week.
Well, we could go to the versed cursor.
Is this versed as in liver-versed? As in
well, I don't think liver-versed will work so well, but other verse will work well.
Oh, how to use a sausage for a touchscreen.
Touchscreen, yes.
Everywhere and everyone, as they have a habit of doing in winter, is getting really annoyed about the fact that they can't use their smartphones while they're wearing gloves.
This is a
now,
BBC segment.
Yes.
They resort to using something else. Sausages. Lots of people.
That is hysterical.
So she's going to actually use it.
It actually works, and this is kind of an old story. We've known this for years.
I know, but
It actually works. Please
so she
excuse
later
that phrase.
does a pickle.
I'm writing with a sausage.
Wait, but you can't write with a sausage if you're wearing gloves, though. That won't work.
Oh, that's a good point. You have to take off your gloves to hold the sausage.
And this is where it's got me.
How many times have I said that?
This became so popular that one sausage manufacturer said that they actually had a 40% increase in sales.
Oh my God, I'd be
Anyway,
punched
once you've,
black and blue.
greasy sausage
So there's that, and then we could look at the...
Okay, that was a good one.
The fastest, most accurate food drive-thrus. There's a company that checks this regularly.
Oh, interesting, because you wouldn't want to get your order wrong as you're driving away, and I hope it's not Chick-fil-A.
Well, the line length there is the worst.
Oh, yeah, look at that. This is a Chick-fil-A in Longview, Texas in 2012. Well, come on.
Yeah.
Well, that's before they added AI, which really sped things up.
Yeah. So line lengths, they have the most likely to get your orders right. Chick-fil-A is right up there.
Oh.
KFC's at the bottom.
But look at the total minutes to get food. Chick-fil-A's hovering around 7 minutes to get your food.
That's completely unacceptable, of course.
Unacceptable. Look at McDonald's. Taco Bell, your favorite, only 5 minutes to get the food. If you're hungry and in a hurry, I think the choice is clear.
It's very clear.
Now, line
cheese
lengths.
Black bean burrito is a wonderful thing, folks. It's a new item.
Okay, so the line length is best at KFC, which is now closed in Petaluma, so I won't be going there
Their accuracy
anymore.
is lowest. I guess this might be a correlation.
Oh.
They always screw up my order.
Oh, the longer the line, the more accurate.
Wrong food.
Yeah. Yeah, KFC has the least accurate. Dunkin', then Wendy's, then Taco Bell, Arby's, McDonald's, Burger King. I would have thought McDonald's would be better than Burger King. I thought they had quality control. And the Southwest is America's drive-through heartland.
Nobody wants to get out of the air conditioning.
Yeah, that's because of heat. Notice Arizona is the top state for that. Interesting. All right. Do you remember I have a pick. We'll give Richard a little more time to think. Do you remember I showed a website that was called Radio Garden? That was the idea was it was going to you could click anywhere in the map and you would see or listen to a radio station from that area.
I listen to radio stations in the Philippines through that still.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, hold on to your hat, Benito. Here's TV Garden. You select a country and you can watch TV from that country.
This is so illegal, I'm sure.
Oh, I don't know. Here's some Russian television. This is from Moscow. This is what this is what people are watching in Moscow. Let's see. There's quite a few stations.
Как вы думаете, в каждом дворе будут стоять баки для раздельных?
Here's DAG music. Do you think this is illegal?
Oh, yeah.
Has to be.
Oh, here's cooking. Culinar TV.
There you go. Следующие ингредиенты.
It sounds like Spanish, though. It doesn't sound like Russian. I guess Russian.
Portuguese sounds like Russian to me.
Like I'm sure there are paid services to have access to this stuff. You know this.
But I think there's a lot of public streaming also.
Switzerland.
So let's A to Z. You know that channel in the Philippines?
I don't actually.
Let's see what they're streaming. Well, that's like a kids channel, right?
What time is it there now?
Yeah, it's early in the morning over there, so yeah.
Yeah, so.
Here you go, Philippines news.
Morning, nanonood sa atin mula sa Washington State sa Amerika.
Talking about us.
Yeah, well, I recognize Washington State's America.
At ganyan din naman po ang karanasan ng may matalik na kaibigan.
So I don't know. I think I want Benito. I wanted you to give us your opinion. Now I have to say, when I go to the United States, I get a lot of weird stuff. I'm like, here's. It says, please wait for commercial break to end. That's something our audience sees quite a bit. 24-hour free movies. Oh, there's a movie I want to see. Realms at War.
And together they have been slaying the Titan.
This is the worst movie I've ever seen.
God.
Holy cow. Anyway, I just thought I'd pass this along. If you're bored, it's late at night, you got nothing to watch, you got 230 countries all around the world. Here's Antarctica TV. Oh,
no channels.
No channels. No. How about Greenland? What do they got? We can watch a couple of stations in Greenland.
They're off the air.
They're off the air because nothing's happening.
Nothing's happening. It's Greenland.
It's the same picture on both. So there you go. It's limited. It's funded in whole or part by the Greenlandic government.
I think
so. I suspect that's what a lot of these are.
Yeah, it's all public.
Yeah, they're mostly public channels. Yeah, but if you miss, you miss your native tongue. You'd like to hear a little more Armenian on your computer. I think as a TV buff, and Jeff, you might be the same. I'm fascinated by the graphics packages, the styles, the lighting. I just think it's really interesting to see what they're doing in other parts of the world. It's kind of fun. I can't travel right now, so at least I can watch Armenian Eurovision.
And you're going to get taken down for Armenian music.
Wouldn't that be funny if I got like a takedown?
I got a copyright strike for Armenian music.
Did you? No, but that would be something to put on my on my wall
resume.
I like it. Anyway, that's my pick of the week. What do you got, Mr. Richard Campbell? Anything for us? Oh, he's lost his internet.
I think we've lost him.
We've lost him. Well, that's okay. It's kind of mean.
The computer knows.
It's kind of mean to. Oh, there he is. He's back. Yes.
Yeah. So I've been working on a bit for Windows Weekly, probably for Christmas. I read the book, The Old Fashioned, talking about sort of the origins of cocktails.
Oh,
with the intent that maybe I would make one on the show, would go through the whole thing. So I thought I might give you a little taste.
A preview? A taste?
Well, just because the question is, where did the cocktail even come from? Why is this important? And the first time we see the words cocktail, it's literally like the beginning of the 1800s, like 1806 is the first time it's in print. So it had already been around before that. We can talk about the etymology, but that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is thinking about what the composition of an alcoholic drink was in the early 1800s, because there was no ABV. There was only proof, which was really a rough measure of, is there enough alcohol in this barrel to be considered a spirit? So the real job of a bartender when trying to make you a drink was to try and not poison you.
That absinthe can really do a number on you. That's true.
Absolutely. So to take a grain whiskey, what we now call a whiskey, a grain alcohol, and then it's been sitting in a barrel for some length of time. Although aging in barrels wasn't popular at this point, it was just storage in barrels. The cocktail maker's job actually is to balance flavor so that it's not too alcoholic, it's not too bitter or sour, which often those old alcohols were. And so the basic combination is the spirit, water to manage the alcohol levels, some kind of a sweetener, typically sugar, although at that time it would be a coarse sugar or a hard sugar that they'd have to crush up. And then bitters was introduced early in that cycle as well, which was a byproduct of alcohol making anyway.
So did people not drink straight liquor in the olden days?
They did. It just hurt them.
Yeah. It could be very strong or very deadly.
Very potent. And so a good butler or a good servant knew to mix it with water and to add sugar to it and so forth. And the reason an old fashioned is called an old fashioned, it was the old fashioned way of making a drink.
Oh.
And it was exactly that process that you would take. You take this hard block of sugar and you'd break it down, you'd dissolve it because it's not nicely powdered sugar. That's before this. So you take this sort of molassesy hard sugar and you put a little water in it and you hammer it with a muddler until it turns to a paste. And when there was bitters, you'd add little bitters to it as well. And that would be a base you'd work from. You might make 2-3 cocktails from that. And then you'd take the spirit you're working with and you'd use your spoon to taste it, see where it was at. And you'd add water and a bit of that combination until you got to something nice. And if you had citrus available to you, you'd use a little of the orange because it would take away the acrid smell of the whiskey. So it smelled good too.
So this is the invention of the cocktail, basically.
They said, yeah, and it was a way to stabilize the consistency of any alcohol, was to combine these basic 4 ingredients: the spirit, the sugar, the water, and a bitters of some kind. Bitters is very old. To get
bitters
to
are basically an
drink.
herb mixture, right? They're an herbal flavor.
Well, they're almost dregs of barrels that you add other things to. Right. So they've got alcohol in it anyway, but they're usually just,
I thought they were purpose-made infusions. They're not.
They eventually were. In this, they exist in almost time immemorial. Going back to the lambic stills of 1000 AD, you had these bitter solutions, right? But Pashod starts making his bitters in the 1700s for pirates because it was a flavorant for water.
Wow.
Well,
they couldn't drink their rum. I remember
terrible.
that the British Navy didn't serve straight rum. That would kill the sailors. They would water it and sugar it. Maybe put a little cinnamon in or
because it was
something.
cheaper to transport that too, right? But the other thing is that you're not barreling for age, and bottles are too expensive. Like commercial bottles don't come along till the 1900s. So everything's stored in barrels, which means it's getting worse. The barrels leak. There's things getting into them.
Wow.
The quality of alcohol is questionable and it's inconsistent. The job of a bartender or a cocktail maker was to make a consistent drink out of like an inconsistent product.
I think that's great. Now, are you at the end of the year, you're going to do a little demo?
So I've read up. I've got like a half a dozen different styles of old fashioned spanning over a century.
Cool.
And so I figured we'd use the 2-camera shot, and I could show you making one, and we'd walk through the improvement in the ingredients.
I got a better idea, Richard. Why don't you come up here? Join me in the attic for that special. Very special.
I like that idea. I'll fly down where it's warm and we'll do it there.
That sounds great. Richard Campbell, runesradio.com. He also hosts .NET Rocks with Carl Franklin. You'll find both at runesradio.com. And of course, Richard joins us every Wednesday morning, at least morning my time and his time, for the fabulous Windows Weekly program. Thank you so much for sticking around.
So much fun to join you, Jeff. Great to hang out with you, man.
Yes,
I had a really good time.
I adore Richard, Jeff, because he's an autodidact, and there are very few subjects you can't ask Richard.
And I adore him because he disagrees with you and agrees with me. So,
and he thinks AI is BS, not BS.
No, not AI, AGI.
AGI.
Yeah,
you're gonna be sorry when the machines come.
The G stands for BS.
Yeah, you know what? I'll happily walk into the stream of bullets at that point. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to be around.
Yeah,
maybe you don't want to be there. I'm looking forward to it because I've been storing up everything that happens, including, by the way, your guys' disbelief, your skepticism in this little thing.
No, we were pretty amazed. It was fun.
No, it's fun. In fact, it's really important, I think, to do this show that we reflect the various points of view about AI, which is why I've chosen the position of accelerationist.
I sold one to a friend of mine who is, when I found out that she is, because she's I'll say her name, Eve Perlman started something called Spaceship Media, which is a brilliant way to reconsider journalism. And it turns out, as we were talking last time, she's a journaler. And she wants to kind of play with the journals.
It's perfect for that.
Figure out what to do. And I said, "Oh well." She said, while we were on the call, she immediately bought it.
It's auto journalism based, auto journaling, basically.
Yeah.
I want to
or journalism. That too.
When I find journalism, journalism. What's the difference? I actually thinking I should really learn it has an API because I would love it to just automatically import it into my day one journal, and then there would have to be no intervention at all. I just could have it do my journaling for me.
But then does it do it? Well, do you have the choice of it talking about you in first person or third person?
No, but that's where computer code can be so handy.
I see.
I leave you,
had a good day today,
my friends, with this last Skylight video, camouflaging myself to turn off my husband's game. Who needs TikTok, I ask you? Go ahead, sell it to anybody you want, because I got Skylight, ladies and gentlemen. I got Skylight.
It's so funny.
Oh, no. And thank you for joining us. We do Intelligent Machines every Wednesday right after Windows Weekly, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. You can watch us live on all of the 8 streams we stream on for the club members. There's Club Twit Discord, but there's also YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, X.com, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Kick. Watch the show live if you wish, but you don't have to. We have on-demand versions on the website at twit.tv/IM. Also available At YouTube, there's a dedicated channel to the video. That's a good way to share clips if you want to share a little clip with somebody. And of course, after the fact, you can always download a copy using a podcast player. Best way to get it. And if you would, whatever player you use, iTunes or Pocket Casts or Overcast or Android or whatever, please leave us a review. Give us a 5-star review. Help spread the word about the brand new version that's called Intelligent Machines. Jeff Jarvis, Emeritus Professor of Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Author of the Gutenberg Parenthesis and the Web We Weave at jeffjarvis.com. Such a pleasure. Thank you for being here. Richard Campbell, runasradio.com. You are a champion.
8 hours.
You deserve a nap.
8 hours.
Yeah. Have a great evening.
He's the Cory Booker of podcasting.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And to all of you who watch, especially our Club Twit members, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time on Intelligent Machines. Bye-bye. Great interview. That was good.
That was fun.
And great show.
I like having these like journalists and authors who actually know things.
I think it's in some ways it's better, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. So
are we still streaming?
Yes. So don't say anything. Private.
No, I have a picture of the baby to show, but I'm not allowed to show it on social media.
Oh, good for you. Don't. But as soon as we cut the stream, I would love to see it.
Yeah. Katie just sent it to me because she says it looks like me. So I think that was funny.
Richard just had his first grandchild.
Yay, mazel.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's exciting. We do not have grandchildren yet, right, Jeff?
No.
No.
I thought, well, Leo, we could try.
we haven't yet. We haven't spawned any grandchildren. I don't know if we ever will, to be honest.
No surprises.
I don't know if I ever will. Let's put it that way.
So I might not be here next week.
Okay, let us know.
I know
you're trying to get out of it.
I'm trying to get out of it. I don't want to go,
but just let us know. And we do have Paris back.
Yep.
And who knows? Maybe Richard will make us a return appearance.
Well,
I try not to do that to you, but it was really nice to have you. Thank you.
That was really fun. I really enjoyed myself. And thanks for getting. I loved it. The interview was fantastic. She's amazing.
Wasn't she great?
Yeah, you were great to have on with her because you brought more perspective.
Because of the Microsoft.
The Microsoft angle, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, time for dinner. Bye.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Richard.
Did you want this picture, Leo?
Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute.
Wait.
Thank you, everybody. Before you do that, I have to do my goodbyes.
Well,
and then I will stay on.
Adios, amigo. Hasta la vista, baby.
We'll say goodbye.
Bye-bye. Exit. Stage left.
Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time. Tomorrow, Chris Marquardt. Photo time. Bye. Okay. Now stop. Can you stop the streams without hanging up?
Yeah. I'm going to stop the stream, but I need to start the recording again because
I'm not a human being, not into this